This conference will now be recorded.
As I mentioned, Dustin said.
Yeah, that's fine.
3:15.
That's fine. You good?
Yes, sir.
All good back here? Yes, sir. All right, let's call the Board of Supervisors meeting to order. As always, let's start with the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. We do have a quorum. Dustin will be here in just a couple minutes. We do need to adopt an agenda. Anybody have anything we need to add to the agenda this afternoon? Anything? No, sir. What would y'all like to do?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I second.
Motion's made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, same sign. As always, public comment. Public comment. Any public comment? All right. Moving right into the budget work session. Helen, come up and talk to us about Central Virginia Partnership for Economic Development. Welcome.
Well, thank you all for having me today. I will say that I always love to do a PowerPoint, but we know that the group does not like it. So I'm just pointing out that I purposefully did not do one. Give me a brownie point there, right? First of all, thank you so much for your support of the Central Virginia Partnership for Economic Development, or CVPED. We're delighted to have Madison County as a member of the partnership, and Jonathan Weekly is a fantastic board member, and Tracy Gardner, of course, is a wonderful ED partner. I think I may see her 3 times this week, so sometimes we see folks more than others. We have a board meeting tomorrow. We're a not-for-profit organization that serves not only Madison County, but 7 other counties from Culpeper to Nelson, this side of the mountains, and also City of Charlottesville. Really a collaboration of the public and private sectors to pursue common goals, and really believe local economic success also depends on regional economic success. I'm here tonight, frankly, just to thank you for being involved with the partnership and share a few of the things we do for Madison County. First of all is really our marketing materials, so at www.centralvirginia.org as well as livingcentralva.org, we have pages promoting Madison County. Tracy helps us with that, so they're easily customizable. If you ever see anything you want changed, it's very easy for us to do that, so happy to do that. We also, all of our leads from Virginia Economic Development Partnership and other sources, we share 100% of those with Tracy, so we're very transparent. Not all regional economic development groups operate that way. We certainly do. And subscribe, and so she really can pick and choose what you all are interested in. So our goal is not to dictate to you, hey, this is a great project, you've got to be interested in this. It's really up to you. Hey, here's an opportunity. Is this something that would fit Madison County or not? We want to help you with your priorities, not dictate any priorities to you, and I think you all know that. We subscribe to databases that are pretty expensive, and Candace Spence, our Economic Development Director, can pull information and data from Madison County, and then that way we're kind of all cost sharing that. And then, of course, have been working on site readiness, and hopefully we've got some more opportunities to help you all with that coming up in the future. We also really, as the lead support organization for Go Virginia, we want to be sure that Madison County benefits from Go Virginia and the $1 million we have every year. As you may recall, the Cluster Scale Up Wine Industry Planning Grant was $100,000. It was led by Francoise with Revelation Vineyards, and that they now have a pending implementation grant for, I think, a couple $100,000. I don't remember the number. I should know that. Over the next couple of years, that should hopefully get approval next Tuesday at the Go Virginia State Board meeting. And so we're, again, trying to do all we can to be sure that you guys don't miss an opportunity there. This year, we're requesting an increase for the first time since 2012 from 50 cents per capita to 62 cents per capita. Because we have a $10,000 minimum, you are not impacted by that increase. So far, we haven't heard anybody be too upset about that. I think we've done a lot of work to kind of justify why, at some point you kind of have to do that. But your request remains the same, so you know that. And I'm glad to answer any questions and look forward to working with you in the year ahead.
Who has questions? Anybody? Jonathan, what do you have to add?
Not a question, just, I believe Tracy has maybe already coordinated with you, but we have an upcoming Economic Development Committee meeting, so we always thank you when we're picking your brain or asking you to come give updates.
I think that's soon. Is it next week?
I believe Tracy has lined that up, so
Yeah.
I'll
No,
get with
we've
her.
already sent her PowerPoint. In that case, Clay, we have sent her PowerPoint.
So definitely there'll be some site readiness, all that kind of good discussion, so thank you for
Yeah, we pulled
sitting at the
together
table.
information on what, I guess that the bottom line for you all to know is that with Go Virginia funding, we kind of see it as a way for folks to take turns. And we can help when you're ready, if you ever get to the point you want to have a publicly owned or a public-private partnership site, we are here to help you be sure that becomes a regional priority so that you're able to access that funding. And that's really a role that partnerships played. So far, for the 3 projects we've done, we've had unanimous support, and that's a lot of legwork to be sure that everyone supports everybody else's projects, but we've been real successful with that.
Anybody? Thank you very much, Helen.
Well, thank you all so
Yes,
much.
ma'am.
And again, being first is such a privilege and an honor. That was exciting. I haven't been first in anything for a long time.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, come up and talk to us about Germanna Community College.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm John Davis. I'm the Vice President for Administrative Services at the college. The college is, as you know, Madison County lies within our service region. We educate many of Madison County students, and our request is for the $4,000 is to be used to support our local fund, operating funds, that goes to things like student activities, student development, student clubs, student recruitment. As you're probably aware, as a state agency, we're not permitted to use state funds for those kinds of projects, so we rely on local funds and student activities fees. So this is a request to help us continue those efforts. That's all. Any questions about Germanna or?
Yeah, what else, what new stuff are you doing over at Germanna?
We've got a lot going on. You may be aware that we've got a lab school at the DTC campus in collaboration with one of our sister institutions up, it used to be Lord Fairfax, now it's
Laurel Ridge.
Thank you. Community college, where we're educating young people. It's an early college program where to basically produce more K-12 teachers. The Locust Grove campus the new Locust Grove building is finally gaining some traction. That got caught up in Richmond due to some state bonding issues for a few years. Now it's back on track, and we're looking forward to having possibly a groundbreaking within the next 9 months or so at that site. And then we're on our east side, we're collaborating with Amazon, AWS, Amazon Web Services, for training for the folks who are building the new data centers, which are popping up in our service region all over the place, and from Culpeper over. So we're doing well. Our enrollment is holding steady. We don't know what the effects yet are going to be of some of these recent cuts and federal things going on. We don't know if that's going to be an opportunity for us with possibly more people going back to school to retool and that kind of thing, but we're up for the challenge.
I got a quick question.
Please.
Just curious, and you probably don't know off the top of your head, but how many students per year from Madison High School come out to you guys?
I can get that. Normally I have that information with me. Today I don't, but I can get that to you within the next 24 hours.
I mean, whenever you can, I'm just curious.
Okay. Who do I send that to?
Judd Buchanan.
Judd Buchanan.
Or you can send it to Jonathan.
John, okay, I'll send it to you. And that'll give you a historical trend data
That would be great.
for Madison County. It's stayed pretty steady over the years.
Okay,
To be
thanks.
under that.
Go, Jonathan.
I have two things. One, just for situational awareness. Did I read somewhere that Dr. Gullickson is retiring?
She is retiring
In
in
July?
June 30,
June,
July
okay.
1. Yes, sir.
So y'all are actively looking for,
Not yet.
Okay.
The chancellor of the community college system has decided he is going to name an interim at some point later this spring, and then commence a full-blown presidential search in the fall semester.
okay,
And that's partly because the VCCS has got several presidential vacancies going on right now, and there's limited bandwidth to conduct all those at the same time.
okay.
Yeah.
Going into the academic side here, and if you don't know this, that's fine, we
Yeah.
can connect, and I have not spoken to the high school principal, Ms. Taylor. Workforce readiness, you talked a lot about that, whether it's retooling people or Amazon. For Madison County, we do not have our own CTE school. You know, Culpeper has a brand-new facility, but that's a Culpeper thing. We don't have the old days like the Piedmont Tech.
Yes.
Do you know if our high school already partners with Jemana, or if not, if we could? So think of the old days of Piedmont where there was like a half day. You either went in the morning
Yeah.
to vocational and then came back for the high school, your normal classes, or vice versa.
Right.
Is there opportunities? I know you were offering apprenticeship or journeyman classes for like HVAC and electrical.
Correct.
Is it opportunity for high school kids with,
I believe so, as far as I know.
during the school day, or would that be after hour?
We could be both. We have that with some of our other school districts, where they're coming half day in till, say, noon, and then back, then they're bused back to the school, or vice versa. And then other cases where it's after hours.
Okay,
So
I'd like to connect with you outside of this meeting.
Yes, please
And
do.
just be more aware of what we're currently doing or what we can do to
So the
make sure we
assistant
capture that.
principal at Madison is Gail Temple, who's
Yes.
on our board.
Okay.
And she'd be intimately familiar with that too, so we can certainly be open to talk to you about that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, sir.
Going down that path, what are you all doing with dual enrollment with Madison schools?
Madison has been one of our long-time dual enrollment partners for many, many years. We've continued to do it, and will continue to do it. As you know, or as you may or may not know, the General Assembly passed a law recently in the recent session that's gone to the governor, making dual enrollment free to the students, at least at high school-based dual enrollment free. That's gonna have an impact for us, but we're still committed to offering as much as we can.
It's a big thing for
Yeah.
families and
Absolutely.
kids and everybody under the
Absolutely.
sun. It's just like a win all day.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we have from Mr. Davis? Anything else? Thank you very much,
All right,
Mr.
appreciate y'all's
Davis.
time. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Greg, you're right on time. Come on down and talk to us about Culpeper Soil and Water.
As I recall last year, it happened about the same way. I walked in at the nick of time.
We appreciate your punctuality.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. Well, Mr. Chairman, board members, good to see you all again. Appreciate the opportunity to stand up here and tell you about the district a little bit. You'll see in our request package that we're asking for somewhat of a significant increase over the previous year, or over the current year. That is all based on I was doing the head math on the driving here, it's about 25-year-old formula, 5-county formula. We put our need together, and then it's split in half. 50% is allocated in the request based on population, and the other 50 is based on the request, or based on the previous 12 calendar months' workload in the counties. And Madison County last year rang the bell. We did a little over $3 million worth of ag work here in Madison County. Madison County farmers should be applauded for showing up in such a significant way for what we have to offer in terms of technical planning and the cost sharing and all of that. We also did about $105,000 worth of septic cost share last year in Madison, and on a percentage basis, Madison consumed about 40% of our ag cost share funds that we paid out last year across the 5 counties, and about 35% of the septic funds. So it was a very busy year in Madison County, and that's a lot of what's behind driving the request increase. Things are very good at the Conservation District. We built a 5-office, additional conference room addition onto the Culpeper office this year. We, through a charade of things, we ended up having to move in Orange, but we have a new office in Orange, and it's been all rehabilitated, and that is working very well. What else can I tell you? Our 5-county total request has been about the same total amount across the last 5 years. So we haven't increased that because of the formula fluctuations from year to year. That's why you see fluctuations in the request. What else do I have here for you? We are about 1.2 million allocated. That's different. The previous numbers were paid out previous year. This year is allocated. Ag cost share here in Madison this year, we've got till June 30th to go. And we've got about $60,000 in septic cost share allocated since last July. Very active. Madison, all of Madison residents have been eligible for septic cost share for, gosh, about 10 years now. And I don't see that ending anytime soon. And the state budget is very robust for the Ag Cost Share program and very robust in their support for us organizing and delivering that program on a local platform. And I don't see any of that changing anytime soon, but one never knows, you know, just give life a couple years and things can change pretty quick. Our education program and our MIWIs and our professional development platform for Madison County teachers remains intact and continues to move forward. And what else do I have here? I guess I could say 13% of our operating funds come from local government. The rest comes from grants we write or the state government. And the only federal money that we have is about 80% of our septic cost share funds come through the Department of Environmental Quality. That is EPA funds. That's a nationwide 319 program. There's been no indication that's going to be impacted at all. The other 20% is money the district comes up with in various ways to fund a septic cost share in all of those areas in the district that are not eligible on a watershed basis for the DEQ program. So everybody in our 5 counties, if they want to pump, repair, replace, if they need it, it's not available to new construction. It's out there, and I think everybody knows that. If they don't, then they're not reading. I guess it's probably an easy way to say that.
Y'all have been pushing that for a long time. It's a good program, and it helps people that need a hand in a lot of ways. That's real positive.
That's right, appreciate that. We started in '07 up in Rappahannock and just spread from there, and we managed to continue keeping those funds in place. And right now, the agreements that we have with DEQ for those grants are good through 2027. And then as their money ebbs and flows, we kind of infuse that into our grants. So that was a new initiative to extend those grant agreements out longer. So I applaud them. It was DEQ's idea, less paperwork, more time on the ground. So we're all for that. Our dams, we've got 8 fully controlled dams here in Madison County. They're all repaired except for we've got 1 live construction project right now out on Repton Mill. And then we've got 1 more to do after that. And then they will all be upgraded. They're all roughly 60 years old. Things get old and tired, and we've replaced shorelines on the dam. We've regraded embankments. We've replaced the 18 or 24 or 30-inch gate valve at the bottom. We're starting to see daylight at the end of the tunnel on all of that. And my board's pretty politically active down in Richmond, keeping money flowing into that, what's known as the Small Dam Repair Program. It's not the state rehab program. That's a different beast. So that gets a lot of attention because there's a lot of dams in Virginia that need full rehabilitation. That's not what we go after. We go after the repair fund. So I'll stop there, Mr. Chairman, and
When's
answer any questions.
Chesapeake Bay reauthorization? Is that 2025? Wasn't that the milestones where we're supposed to reach a certain thresholds?
Right now, it is 2028.
All right.
And the way the way the language is orchestrated, I believe that it'll extend out beyond that.
Yeah. all
Yeah.
right.
No time soon.
No, I don't thought it was coming up. What are you gonna spend the extra 10K for, or 11,000 bucks?
Salaries, overhead and costs, we had to change our IT platform this year. The fellow, Mr. Loving, he's been with us since we set up our own IT system 10, 15 years ago. He's retiring, so we had to go out to the marketplace and do a bunch of interviews and all of that. And that's gonna cost us more, but we're pretty much kind of top shelf, and that's really the place to be, because when you're buying IT, you might just well buy for the future, because it changes weekly, right?
Who else has questions for Mr.
What was
Wetzel?
it, what was their, what did we fund them last year?
Last year, we were at $30,111. This year, they're asking for $40,814.
Huh?
All right, hand his stuff
I
down.
think to your left, sir, you have maybe,
Very good, and it's in order, which makes it even better.
Oh. Yeah, I looked for this.
Proportionally, other localities in Culpeper Soil and Water, you're escalating their cost or asked the same way?
No, what happens, okay, back to the formula, 50 and 50.
Yeah,
The 50% based on population generally doesn't change very much from year to year.
All right.
There's not that much going on. The workload part does, so as some go up, some can go down. So there's a couple counties, I don't have that in front of me. On the bottom of the calculation sheet, you can see about 8 or 10 years worth of requests.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I mean,
Yeah.
last year y'all requested 40,814, same as you're doing.
No, I know
That's a
what you're talking
typo?
about. That was a mistake by the secretary. She
Oh.
put this year's numbers in there.
Okay.
Yep. But you can see what Madison has done over the years and what the other counties have done. So the workload part goes up and down. It fluctuates, and it's all formula based.
all right, who else has questions for Greg?
Well, I just,
Please.
help educate me. So $3 million worth of ag work in Madison last year. Give me an example, a good example of.
What a project would be?
Yeah.
An ag waste,
Sizable.
an ag waste shed for poultry litter.
Yeah.
Could be a stream fencing, water development, drilling a well, putting in troughs, pipeline, et cetera. Could be a cropland conversion to sod for 10 years. Could be cover crops on cropland.
And that's typically shared by the farmer, or the
Correct.
property owner.
That's correct.
In some
The
fashion.
cost share rates vary. Generally, I think, if I needed an average number, about 80% is paid by the program.
Okay,
Now, if you extend for a longer contract and do a more robust environmental benefit, then you can get higher than 80%, but you've got to put more on the table to get that.
right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Greg, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Foothills Housing, come on down, John Reed. Good to have you. Are we,
Okay, pass it down.
In Culpeper Soil and Water, I've got beef cattle myself, so I appreciate those guys for sure. Mr. Weekly and Mr. Jackson, Board Supervisors, John Reed, Foothills Housing Corporation. Just real quick for folks that don't know me, we own and manage 168 affordable rental units. And we spend about $125,000 to $150,000 a year for folks who have emergency home repairs in order to allow them to continue to live in their home. They have to be homeowners in order to participate in our program, and most of those dollars are through grant funding. Your contributions to the organization go into that grant program. For those folks, those larger programs where we have to take small loans to complete a large project, we don't charge any interest, we don't charge any closing fees. And every dollar that the homeowner pays back in that program goes back into an account that we use 100% of those dollars back to help the next family. So we don't use any of your contribution for administrative fees at all. 100% of that, the $7,000 that we've asked for in the past, and we appreciate your support over many, many years. 100% of that goes towards the homeowner for these emergency home repairs.
And John, let me.
Yes, sir.
So these repairs are done
Yes, so
with the
these are all-
homeowners that live there. It's not for rental units.
No, sir, we will not make any rental
Okay.
unit. That's up to the landlord, so we don't make any rental property repair.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So this is a list of homes that we worked on in '24, in specifically just in Madison County.
How many rentals do you have in Madison, John?
Really, the main reason for me to be here, one is to thank you all for your previous contributions, but I can tell you that FHC over many, many years, I've been blessed to be part of the organization. We're well-positioned, very well-positioned right now to expand, and there's no county that I would rather expand in than Madison. You all, it's like family down, I mean, all the nicest people. If I was ever gonna move out of Fauquier, I'd move to Madison. Really, you all were nice folks. But, so I'd really like to find something in Madison County, whether it's a school that you don't use, a government office you don't use, land you're aware of that's available. I need to grow the organization now beyond where it is today. So I won't bore you with all the time. I've been there since 2012 and what we've achieved. But our next thing for me is growth. And in Fauquier County, we got 168 rental units over there. Okay, yeah. But I want to be in Madison if I can. And I've asked, and I mentioned this I think last year, just if there's anything, but I really need to drive that home and find something. My time, I will tell you, 63, my time's probably, I can see my time a little bit because I like beef cattle, but I need to do something here in the next couple of years or so and get a project started. So
we don't have any homes here right now?
no. We tried to bring a project here. It was going to be a tax credit project. Because of what we were allowed to charge for rents under the tax credit program, we couldn't pay. It was about a $15 million project. We could not afford that and make that work. So let's move away from the tax credit idea because FHC is in a good spot. I'm not trying to talk myself out of the 7,000. We will use that for emergency home repairs. But we're well positioned in terms of equity, unrealized rents that we don't collect, that we could collect a little bit. We have 168 rental units. If you raise everybody $100, you'd have $16,000 of additional income per month. And we're so far, our 3-bedroom homes in the Fauquier County area rent for $1,350, $1,400. There's nothing like that. And
Yeah, in Greene County, that's
and we're well positioned with just that rent. So I won't get into all of our finances, but we're not your typical nonprofit. And we're so far under the market, those 3-bedroom homes are north of $2,000 in that market. So, I raised it $200 and I got $35,000 worth of available debt service. I'm going into finances a little bit, but there's probably $20 million in equity in real estate that we own. That's just wasted money for me. It's sitting there waiting for me to grow the organization, and I want to grow it in Madison. And I don't need tax credit dollars to do it. We can build it. Ben & Mary's is an old restaurant near Warrenton. Anybody in that area knows the old Ben & Mary's restaurant. We renovated that into 4 affordable rental units. Rappahannock Rapidan Regional Commission out of Culpeper gave us a $200,000 grant to participate in that. The PATH organization, I get along great with those two organizations. They provided us $250,000. We financed it. We handled the rest. It was a $1.2 million project, so we covered the other $700,000. We're well positioned to do those kinds of things, but I'm not looking for 4 units in something. I'd like 10, 20, 30. I want to make an impact on workforce housing, affordable rental property, and I know there's a strong need for it.
All right, I figure the 500 is like every year. You asking for 75 or 7K is okay.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. What, just since you've gone down this path and we flat funded you for several years.
Yes, sir.
what can Madison do to bring some of your services to Madison? Not just the
GM.
repairs, which we appreciate, and I always remember the blue
Yeah.
tarp on,
Yes, sir.
Fairground.
I'm sorry we couldn't
No,
make that.
no, normally, we don't hear from anybody for like 6 months or something, and then they give us a PowerPoint presentation. He shows up like 10 minutes later, he's like, it won't work, but I stopped by. And that's great, but how can we get some of these rental units into Madison? Is there anything we
I
can
need
do to
affordable,
facilitate?
it's either affordable land or it's a building you all own that you're not doing anything
Repurpose.
with, an old high school,
Repurpose.
repurpose. I can repurpose it. We can get it going quick. I don't have to apply for a bunch of money and chase dollars. I can put this together quickly.
I know. All right, who
I mean,
else?
and I know how these things go. We get together, we talk a little bit, and then, I'm gone, and,
Yeah.
and, I know you guys everybody's busy, and but I'm telling you, it's not the 7,000, look, grateful, and we use that on our homeowners. That's important, and I thank you all. I'm really here to find something that I can construct or repurpose for affordable housing in Madison. And I don't bring this to Culpeper, I don't bring this to Rappahannock, anybody here from Orange? I can bring it to Orange maybe. I want it here in Madison.
Regarding the home repairs, how do people hear about you? How does Madison-
DSS offices, so much is word of mouth, that those people that are in these areas that need assistance, they know each other, we've been doing it for a long time. Other organizations try to mimic what we do because they're trying to figure out how do we make money on it. We don't make any money on it. We lose money on it. I pay staff to go do these things, and if the contractor charges me $5,000 to redo a bathroom because it's got a tub and we got a handicapped individual that needs to just walk in, it costs us $5,000. We pay the $5,000, but we don't charge them $5,500 to make $500. We just charge them the $5,000 the contractor charges us. We don't make any money, so I lose gotta pay my staff to go there, gotta supervise the job, and I got salary to pay. So we don't make any, and I don't wanna make any money on that job. I wanna fix that house so they can stay in the home. They're your taxpayers, right? They're your constituents that stay in that house. It's got a roof repair, like the blue tarp, so they can stay in that home. We don't, I won't throw names out, but other organizations try to mimic that because they think we're making money. We're not. We lose money on every job, and I'm glad to do it. I just need, and I'll do more of them. We used to do $15,000 a year for emergency home repairs. We're up to about $150,000 now. So some of that's contribution money, a lot. Some of it's FHC. Some of it's our own money. We're glad for it. We have the ability to do it. I could do a lot more of that, but I've been saving money because I want to build affordable housing, and I really like to have it here in Madison. So your DSS folks know to reach out to us. That's probably, other than word of mouth, that's a really good, and we've been doing it a long time, so I think we're just sort of out there. People kind of know to reach out to us.
I have one to add on to that. Whenever
Jackie
you're ready.
Sill, she handles, Jackie Sill is in one of your, we pay rent to you guys. She's in one of your offices Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I've never been there. I'm not even sure where it is, Clay. But
Me too.
Tourism Center, we appreciate
There you
that.
go, good, thank you. Go ahead.
John, and again, thank you for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate the
I've gotten to know you over the years. Just to dovetail on Supervisor Buchanan's comment/question, I don't know if we've connected you in the past with either Karen or Troy Coppage. Karen's the founder, if you will, of Madison Day. So that's an all-volunteer thing. I think it's the first Saturday of May. I'm probably doing terrible on the plug. But I'm sure there are more projects and people for that one day. So if I can maybe connect you two, so if there are projects beyond what they can get to, it might fit your
We'd like to have
list.
them. I wish this was, 50,000, not 16, but we will only hire insured contractors. I don't mind working with your folks, and certainly, I don't like to say.
This would just be a list of
project
projects
that
that they
they
could not get
Yes, sir,
to,
100%.
that you could observe and
Those
see
are
if
the
you
folks
want.
I need to be, I need to know who those people are in your county who care about that and are doing it and need our backing to do more. Exactly, yes, sir. Do you want me to, Mr. Weekly, you want me to
I'll-
reach out to them? Or
I'll connect, I'll reach out to Karen first, just say, hey,
Thank you
I
very
want
much.
to connect you with John, and,
And the church groups are great.
yeah.
All right.
But, so how do I follow back up to find some, I mean,
Or
have a
what,
building
for
sitting around
lots
like
of
to be
areas that you maybe can do housing, is that what you're talking about?
yes, sir.
Tracy, I
We'll,
guess.
we'll reach out.
Okay.
We'll have we'll connect with you in the near
We
future.
looked at the one area that you all left at one point.
That Encompass is now
The Encompass is there.
at Thrift.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So something like that.
Okay.
All right, so, John, I gave you my card, so I work for Skyline Cap, and we have an emergency home repair, and we operate the same.
And I didn't mean,
$5,000.
yeah, it wasn't, yeah, that was not a
Well,
reference.
I'm comfortable because I know we do it
We
exactly
did
the
a lot of
way
work
you
with
do
you
it.
guys
Yeah.
partnering.
So, touch base with us, come by, let's talk to Simon. Simon Fiskus is Executive Director, or reach out to Simon. So we've got 10 rental units in Madison now, but see, our issue with expanding more in Madison is we're getting our money out of Thomas Jefferson Planning District, which only covers Green. It doesn't come into Madison and Orange. So what we're having to do is we have to turn over our rents and then do stuff, with that.
right.
So we could collaborate, we could go together.
Happy to, whatever.
So give us a holler.
Yes, sir, I will. I'll look up Simon. Simon's last name, I'm sorry?
Fiskus,
Fiskus.
Fiscus.
Thank you,
Would it-
Carter.
miss
Appreciate it.
anything?
No, we're going through the comp plan, and such an emphasis is on affordable housing, and we hear about repairs needed. I mean, I always like hearing from you, John.
Clay, I'd be happy to, Mr. Jackson, I'd be happy to come to any of those meetings.
The comp plan stuff, the one I hit Jonathan on was on Realtors Roundtable, just to get your, and I'm sure your name is out there with everybody already, but to just link up with that group as well. But I mean, let's see what Jonathan can throw together.
Okay.
We know affordable housing is a big concern in Madison County.
Happy to
If
make
we
it
can,
happen.
if we can facilitate something, and somebody that wants to grow is kind of the people we want to deal with.
Yes, sir.
So, anybody else? Thank you
all
very much, Sean. All right. Madison Community Cats. Yes, ma'am, come on down and talk to us. Ms. Chamberlain.
Yes, thank you very
Welcome.
much. I'm Connie Chamberlain. I'm a Madison County resident, and I am on the board of Mad Cats, Madison Community Cats. And we are asking for a relatively small amount of support for a small but important part of our services. We're asking to buy cat food for low-income Madison residents. And I see some of you rolling your eyes, but let me explain why it's important and why it's relevant. We all know that there are large numbers of homeless cats, and it's a problem that we all want to fix. There may be communities of cats, 10, 20, 30 cats in a neighborhood. Where do they come from? Some of them are strays, some of them were lost or abandoned or dumped, but mostly the numbers grow because cats have kittens, and the kittens have kittens. The best and most humane way to stop the growth of those colonies is to spay and neuter the cats. No more kittens. Many of these colonies are cared for by somebody who can't afford to have them spayed or neutered. What happens is that one cat shows up, and another cat shows up, somebody, kind person, puts out some food for them. And gradually, more cats show up, and those cats have kittens. And you get to a point where the person who is caring for them, who may well be low income, is absolutely overwhelmed. They're still trying to care for their cats. So imagine you are an older person living alone. You feel responsible for these animals. You develop a bond with them, and they become your family. Those of you who are pet owners, I think, can understand this. You need the animals, and being able to care for them makes you feel good about yourself. So you share your own scarce food with them. We have gone to people's homes, people who have been to their church food pantry and gotten food, and they're sharing it with the cats in their yard. There is people food on the ground. So we know that these people care about their cats, and we know that they are willing to make some serious sacrifices. And this is where Mad Cats helps. We trap the cats, we spay or neuter them, we give them their rabies shots, all at no cost to the caretaker, and then in most cases, we return the cats. If the caretaker can't afford to feed them, except by going without food that they need themselves, we supplement the cat food with periodic deliveries. Last year, we spayed or neutered 371 cats in Madison County at no cost to the residents. The total cost to us was over $37,000. We have a good cooperative relationship with Madison Animal Control and the shelter, and over the past 6 years have helped them reduce their euthanization rate by 94%. We provide no-cost spay, neuter, vaccinate to anyone in Madison County who cannot afford to have their cats done, whether a colony cat caregiver or a pet owner. So if you know of a cat colony or a pet owner who needs our help, encourage them to go to our website, MadisonCommunityCats.org. There is a waiting list because a lot of people want our services, but we will get to you. So, oh, and there is a foundation who is willing to match your dollars, dollar for dollar. So we're asking for $1,000. It would actually be $2,000. Your money would go twice as far. And I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
All right. Who has questions for Mad Cats?
No, well, my question was gonna be, what is your relationship with the Madison Animal Shelter?
Cooperative.
Yeah, okay. Wait,
Come on.
Are you with-
No, come down. We gotta get you on the mic, Ms. Counts. Yes, ma'am.
and,
I'm Lori Counts, and I'm the director of Mad Cats, and I was actually at the Culpeper Animal Shelter this morning because I was picking up a pregnant cat from them so that we could foster dog house. But who happened to be there was Annette Dodson, and she was also, they were also picking up some cats because they didn't have very many cats at the time, and the shelters help each other out just like we help them out and they help us out. So I would, in the answer to your question about how our relationship is with the shelter, it's excellent, it's never been better. We worked on 3 hoarding cases with them last summer, where they took some of the cats, we took some of the cats, and all the cats that were rescued from there found homes, either some just stayed with us and some found homes with other people. A few were placed in barn homes. So we're very proud of our relationship now. It's better than it's ever been.
Other questions? Are y'all, I mean, you talk about a waiting list of colonies of these cats that need assistance. Are you seeing populations decrease with the spay and neuter programs, or is there just, I mean, I'm trying to think, is there an end game here at some point, or is it just keep on going, which it seems to just keep on going, so I'm probably just gonna answer my own question.
Ultimately, there is an end game, but it's a long time away.
Yeah.
And what we see, especially in Madison County, is a lowering of the number of animals who are surrendered to the shelter. And that's part of our goal, so that fewer animals go into the shelter, fewer animals are euthanized, and we do see those numbers drop.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you, Ms. Council. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on. Aging Together. Ms. Phipps, come on down and talk to us. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
we're running a little bit ahead, so she can.
Hello, I'm Ellen Phipps with Aging Together. Thank you for the opportunity today. Well, first, I'm just going to start with this board. Every year, y'all say to me, when are we going to change the name of 5 over 50? When are we going to go jump it up a little bit? And I just want to let you all know that this year, our board of directors, it's going to be announced in a few months, but off the record, our board of directors voted to change it to 5 over 65.
Yeah, that's much better. That is much better now. And it made me
happy
feel
with
better
that.
about myself over here. That's good.
Uh-huh.
Good.
So, anyway, back to business. So, our total budget, for Aging Together is around $280,000, give or take a little bit there. In the past few years, we had received, $3,000 from Madison County, and then the last couple of years, it was down to $2,000. And so we are, again, requesting the $3,000 if at all possible. We do continue to extend and expand our services in Madison County. Aging Together really fills a gap for meeting the needs of older adults. I didn't bring it, I have a copy in my car, I forgot to bring it in with me, but we have just published the 3rd edition of the Regional Resource Guide for Older Adults. This is the only guide of its kind specifically for older adults, specifically for our 5-county region. Social services depends, we initially created this in response to people saying, we just don't know what services are out there, and a lot of people are not on the internet. So we created this hard copy guide. What we didn't anticipate was how useful this would be to healthcare professionals like social services and Encompass, community supports, aging advisors. But they actually use this as, it's kind of like their Bible for when they get phone calls about where to go, who to call, where to turn to. They can just look it up in this resource guide. We produce that ourselves. We do not contract that out, and it just takes hours and hours. It's 96 pages. We've got a section translated in Spanish, and it also addresses, it has some educational components. For example, the warning signs of Alzheimer's disease or the warning signs of stroke. So it's not just a resource guide with important telephone numbers. It also has this healthcare educational component. Our Madison County Aging Together team, talking to folks in Madison County, got some feedback that this guide is great, but what people would also like to see would just be a single rack card that has critical telephone numbers, emergency numbers for who to call, for food, for transportation, for a crisis, just on a rack card that, in addition to this cumbersome book, that's very useful. People thought this would be helpful. So we have created that. We did get a donation from Madison County Lions Club to help with that process. So working in conjunction with them. But this is just an example of how our team, our county team works. They've got their fingers on the pulse with the folks here in Madison County, and then they can bring the information back to the team, and then we can respond. Another area where Aging Together has had to sort of step up and fill a gap because there are no services is for dementia services. So dementia awareness, this year we did train some Madison County businesses to be dementia friendly, which just means that they have some of the tools and awareness to be able to identify customers that might come to a restaurant or a bank and think, oh, they maybe have dementia. So rather than asking them to leave or thinking they're just behaving very strangely, they might understand where they're coming from and be able to be welcoming to them. Let's see, had a couple of other things here. Well, with dementia too, we get a lot of telephone calls. We are not officially a information and referral source. We tend to refer those to Encompass, community supports, or social services. But kind of by default, we take in almost 200 calls a year, and a lot of those calls are about caregiving issues or caring for somebody with dementia or other issues about dementia. And here she comes. They were early. So another initiative that we are looking to replicate in Madison County, we're just launching now in partnership with Encompass Community Supports, is a friendly visitor program to help isolated older adults that are living alone and utilizing volunteers to visit them in their homes. And that's just a really good example of how we work together to come up with this program and then launching it in one county and then trying to replicate that in other counties. I'm going to see if Valerie has anything to add. I kind of went through most of it.
Gotcha. I guess I will just give a testimonial as an Aging Together board member about how invaluable the regional collaborative approach is to supplement the efforts of Madison Department of Social Services in the area of services to aging. It is really so nice to be able to attend one meeting where kind of all of the region's subject matter experts on issues associated with our aging population can kind of be a one-stop shop to really hear what the cutting-edge issues and programs and resources are for this particular population. So they are definitely an invaluable partner to really expand the scope of how we can be most impactful with this population. So I strongly support their request for funding and just acknowledgement of what an incredible partner they are in this particular area.
All right, questions? Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, I don't want to take credit for the chairman, but, and I'm sorry I've missed the several Munch meetings, and I do not recall the acronym, but it's a great group. Is our community paramedicine actually involved either on the Aging Together side? I always point to your booklet, Ellen. It's like the booklet.
Yes.
I miss the yellow pages, so I'm that type of guy.
Yes.
But is community paramedicine aware of the,
Absolutely,
okay.
yes.
I thought so, but I
yes,
wanted to
we
ask.
worked very closely with Tiffany at Aging Together. In fact, we were in 100% in support. A lot of the initial issues came up at Aging Together team meetings, and then part of the brainstorming, I mean, Tiffany, I'm not taking credit for that program at all. They did a fantastic job, but we were very much partnering and supporting. And again, the beauty of Aging Together in the 5-county region is we have already connected Tiffany with our other counties to sort of replicate this wonderful pilot that has happened here in Madison County. So again, I think that's just one of the great advantages of Aging Together is how we kind of bring the whole region together like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions? Good down there, everybody? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Oh, Ellen, I do have one more.
Yes, of course.
Is this guide or the rack card available, like, I mean, I would think having it on the counter at the drugstore, or where? Can
Yes, so definitely all the libraries, Department of Social Services.
Yeah.
They have a huge, yes, pharmacies, doctor's
Okay.
office, yes, we will deliver it, even though there's only 3.5 of us at Aging Together, we'll deliver it across the region, so if anyone needs
Is
it, it's also downloadable for free
Oh,
on the website, and then we also, for folks that can't get out if they're socially isolated, and they want us to mail them a copy, we will do that as well. We ask for postage, but if they can't do that, we'll do it, we'll just send them to them.
I don't know, Jonathan brought up about adding either a hot link or something to the county website. I would think that would be, it seems to be a good marshaling place to get information out to a lot of people.
That would be fantastic. Great
Right.
idea. How do we,
Talk to him. He seems to know things.
okay,
Yeah,
wonderful.
be a good
Oh,
thing.
you got a copy there. Yay, Valerie, I left mine in the
I
car.
keep it as a Bible in my bag with me at all times. The resources in there are just that critically needed and come up in conversation just that frequently.
How's it look, Cardi?
it's pretty comprehensive.
That's good. All right, thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
ma'am.
Appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Ms. Weaver, come on down and talk to us about the fair.
I brought my sidekick with me today, that's Barry.
First, let me thank you guys and the county for what you've done in the past for us. And this year is the 30th anniversary of the 95 flood. So the fair has decided that our theme this year will be Mountain Streams and Barnyard Dreams, using the mountain streams in reference to the 30-year anniversary of the flood. We put in our application for $1,200, and in the past, we've used these funds for the premiums for the children's exhibits in the home, farm, and garden building. If you ever attended the fair, the building on the other side of the kitchen is used for artwork, photography, paint, canned goods,
Crafts, sewing.
quilting, all kinds of things. It's a lot of different categories where children from 5 to 8, and then from 8 to 19, I think it is, and then 19 over would be adults. So we allow adults to enter as well. But from age 8 to 18 or 19, they're the ones who earn premiums. So much, so many dollars for a blue ribbon, so many dollars for a red ribbon, so many for a white ribbon. So that's what we're actually asking for the money. The fair is July 16th through the 19th this year, and some of the things that we have going on, for the first time in a while, on Wednesday night we have wrestling. We hope that this will bring a lot more people in on Wednesday night. We are working on Thursday night of bringing in a big event. Friday night, of course, will be our rodeo, and Saturday night will be the famous demolition derby. We also have music, and the 4-H, they do their livestock shows at the barn, along with the auction on Friday night. So the fairs, we try to make sure that the fair, with using the home and garden building plus the livestock shows, very educational for all, because so many kids, especially from the city, they think milk comes, from the store. So we would appreciate whatever you can do for us. Anything you want to add?
I think that sounds great. Again, we would appreciate anything you can do. We try to have educational things for the children and also for the adults too, because there are people older who, as Kathy said, don't realize where milk comes from. And, that steer standing there, that's their steak, that's their hamburger. They don't see that. So, we're trying to do that. We do have an exhibit that's going to be coming from Virginia Tech this year that will be helping educate the community as to what goes on, with farm animals. So we're very excited about that.
And just to give you an idea of our big dollar events, like for the rodeo, we have to pay $17,000 just for the rodeo, just to give you an idea. Nothing is really free. If we can grab something that's free, it's going to be there. The Artmobile, a couple years ago, we're working on getting that back this year, but 2 years ago we had the Artmobile, and that was free. So anything you can do for us, we'd greatly appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you at the fair, July 16th through the 19th. Come every night.
Questions? No. Are y'all making money?
We don't make money. We just want to put enough money back into the account so we can have a fair next year. If we don't, so everything really works around the weather. So if we pay like $17,000 for the rodeo, how much for wrestling?
Wrestling is $4,000.
$4,000. We have axe throwing, that's about $4,000. But if we put that money out and have them come, and then it storms and rains, or the heat is so overbearing for the whole time, we're not making money to put, so our aim is, we don't say we're making money, our aim is to put money back into the account so we can have a fair next year.
No, very good. Anybody else?
So, looking at your 990, you have net assets. What are your assets?
We own the gates, the panels, the animal panels.
Yeah?
That we keep the animals in.
We do not own the grounds, we rent the grounds from the young farmers, although we work out a pretty good deal with them.
Yeah. Well, to Clay's point, last year, it looks like you fortunately netted $16,700 over and above expenses.
Yeah, we had a good year last year.
Yeah, okay,
And we have to keep something new coming in.
Yeah.
So that you can bring people in. We've been fortunate enough not to have to raise our prices for admission, which I think makes a big difference, because you've got a family of 4 coming in, you know, if they have children that are over 10, they're paying full price. So that's why we try to keep admissions down so that it will be, you know, easy. And then the one thing too, is that with the home farm and garden, when a child brings in, I think it's 10 items to enter in the home farm and garden, they get a weekly pass. So they don't have to pay. So that works out too. So that's another encouragement to have the youth bring their items to the home farm and garden building.
And I have worked out deals before. If someone reaches out and says, can't afford to come, I make sure that they're there.
Yeah, and we are very fortunate that the FFA state group has their conference at Graves the week of the fair, so they're always able to come, and we work out a deal with them, buy one, get one. They come on Wednesday, so that is a terrific thing that we have. We've worked out things with children that are in foster care so that they can attend the fair, you know, with the families that they're with.
And we're always looking for volunteers. I think I put on there that, I think I calculated last year, our volunteers probably put in 1,000 hours. And you know, a lot of people don't realize, but we work on the fair 12 months a year. As soon as it's over with, we start planning for the next year, so. But anything you can do for us, we'd appreciate it. Thank you for
Anybody
your
else?
time.
Please, go ahead, Jim.
Just a curiosity question. The carnival rides, how does that work? Do y'all get a cut of that? The
Yes.
gate? Okay.
Yes, we do not pay for the carnival to come to us. But I think last year it turned out to be whatever they made, we get like 18%, 20%, something like that.
All right,
So,
thank you.
Yeah, so it's important to us that the carnival has rides for everybody.
Judd,
And
or please, go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say, and one thing that we have done recently is that they were saying there was no seating in the carnival area. So we worked with the FFA out at the high school and the agriculture group to build benches for us. So we were able, you know, we paid for the materials and everything, and they made them. So I guess that's an asset of ours too. But, you know, 12 benches and 3 picnic tables that we had made.
Judd,
Do you pay for insurance for this, or
Yes, sir.
does that go up every year? What, is that
Mm-hmm.
pretty steep, I bet?
It is, and it's getting harder and harder to find someone who will insure you. There are certain things you have to make sure when you word something, that you're wording it correctly, because a couple years ago, we decided we were gonna have like we called it a day camp, but it really wasn't a day camp. It was having the group from the Learning Center, the children in summer school coming, Boys and Girls Club coming. But the way we worded it, they thought we were operating a camp and we're going to raise our rates astronomically. So we got that fixed very quickly.
anybody else? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, we've run out of people. I'm sure Bonnie's coming over.
Do you want us to fill in, if you look at 2A?
Yeah, I see.
Sir, do you want us to
Let's
go to one?
let's do the jail. That'll set the right tone. All right, jail, Central Virginia Regional Jail.
Give us a second for
Yes,
Ms. Warren to
sir.
bring it up. And Supervisor Buchanan is your rep on the jail board. Certainly, the sheriff in every county is also a board rep. So I do not want to steal your thunder, Supervisor Buchanan. Our understanding is there is no increase over last year. As you recall, the jail is, I think it's a 3-year average, and they look at your, what I refer to, bed days for your inmate population. Madison County's been fortunate. It's kind of been stagnant, either staying steady or dropping. You can see the allocation increases there on the screen, Jennifer. Hey, you can see where some counties are going up, some counties are staying the same. We actually have a true-up that Jennifer's highlighted for $109,328. So what that does, that check doesn't physically come back to us. It's just applied to. So initially, if you were at $699, but we have that true-up that's coming that dropped us to $190,315. So it's good to not have an increase. Any questions, Mr. Buchanan? Did I miss anything? Anything you'd like to offer, sir? I will say this, the county.
That's funny.
The county administrators, and appreciate Superintendent Dyer, he has us over every year before the jail board votes on the budget. And what we learned from that is, and I shouldn't give away the secret, so please don't print this, but, we have 5 members, or 5 counties are members of that. But there are others who are using the jail that are not members, and they pay a pretty good rate. So Culpeper County and Page County, let them keep paying. The federal doesn't pay as much, but the federals do have some. What I heard a concern is there, if there's any medical costs on the Fed sides, it takes a long time for the jail to get their money back. So they're kind of dwindling down with their budget for that, but say, hey, come on, Culpeper, come on, Page, and that has brought in a substantial amount to the tune that they have a healthy fund balance, but also they're able to utilize that additional funding for capital. So they've done some major replumbing. As you know, the jail's kind of had additions in over several decades, and they're going in and doing some plumbing in the upcoming years without any additional cost to the locality. So what you see, operational costs, is what's reflected in that budget number.
They're also like truing up making more competitive salaries of the correction officers, so that they don't leave, they get trained and they leave to other counties.
How are they doing, Judd, retaining? I know they've got a big sign out front saying we're hiring. How are they doing when trying to get new staff?
I think with this new pay increases they're talking about, and they're keeping people now, and I haven't heard any big turnover, so.
And those pay increases are baked into those numbers right there already, I guess.
Yes, pay increases are all in that budget.
Well, I just find it's impossible that the operating cost and a true-up would come back to the very dollar from last year. It's
That's the way it works
How can that
normally.
be?
Yeah.
it's impossible.
Of course it is. I'm not asking for an increase.
I know.
Go from there. And then we also, with the expansion and then charging some of the surrounding jurisdictions that aren't members, that's real positive. I mean, we saw years ago when they did the expansion, and then the feds started not locking anybody up, and they had all that space, and we had to kind of realign. Now it's kind of coming back to pay for itself. It just took a long time to get there.
We still have plenty of space too to grow, and as expensive as it is to build facilities, we don't see Culpeper or the other counties building anything to take up that cost, so that money should still be coming in.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else on the jail?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, welcome, Bonnie. Gary, come on up and talk to us about the library.
Sounding like my grandfather.
Yeah. I don't know if that's good or bad, Bonnie. Come on.
Things to hand out.
Yes, one's for you and the rest on this side are for everybody. All right, guys, the first page is the actual budget that we turned in to you. The second page, if I can look at mine and see which order I put it in. The second page is what we did. This little piece of information.
Go to the microphone, would you, so we've got to do minutes. We appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
All right. I thought this was a little less formal, but.
No, we appreciate it, but we got to record this, and it's all online, so, thank you.
All right. If you look at the second page, the second page is the accomplishments the library has done this year. And the third page is not sort of where we fall in the state standings, but what I did was compare our operating funding with population libraries that were closest to us. So it's just something for y'all to look at later on down the line.
What is this?
One of
What
those
is
nice.
this, a couple years old?
I'm sorry.
Is this a couple years old, Bonnie? Because you got us at 160, 600.
This is the state statistics, they are always 2 years behind.
All right,
The
okay.
stats always 2 years behind.
All right, so tack on $17,600 to what is depicted
Yeah.
here. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Got it. Keep going.
Okay, the only other thing I literally wanted to brag about a little bit is the Wi-Fi usage. Just in February, we had 709 individual uses of our Wi-Fi network. If you'll come by here anytime, day or night, you'll see cars sitting out there.
Over what period of time was that?
Just February.
Okay.
And they had 709 session counts, 619 visits, and they stayed logged on for 10 hours each. Each individual user was there for a total of 4 or 5 days. It's an interesting statistic. We're being used whether we know it or not.
All right.
We're a little less than we were last year. So yay for broadband somewhere.
Yeah, oh, you're on. All right, what else do we have, Bonnie, that we need to talk about? You got anything else?
No, just that we need what you can give us.
Jonathan, go ahead.
I just, Bonnie, thank you and Gary for being here. I didn't want to take for granted, from my time sitting up there, could you maybe explain, because not everyone may recall, there's a certain way or requirement of how the library is funded. There's per capita, there's like 3 elements, I believe.
There is a state aid formula. And Lord have mercy.
Sorry. And we can email later if that helps. I just cannot recall, and I thought it'd be good for the membership.
It's population, say it again, Larry.
It's a convoluted way the state does in my home opinion.
It is. It takes a population, it multiplies or divides it by the actual physical mileage within your county by how much, some number it is. I can send you all the link.
Please, if you don't mind.
I think last time, but I'll do it again.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
It is complicated, it is a pain in the butt, but it is what we are reaching or trying to reach for. The problem has always been, is that it is a moving target, okay? Because the state fluctuates how much it gives us. And therefore, how much
Good.
has to be matched
Yes.
is in constant flux as well. And they have been generous here the last couple of years. We are up to 77,000 next year.
79,234 is
79,000 from the state, which I don't want to go backwards, guys. I don't want to get back in the hole that we were in before. I really don't. We were put on, our library and county was put on a 5-year notice because we had not been able to reach our funding. And I don't want to go back there. I really don't want to go back there. So I'm asking, I know it's a tough year, I know it is.
Jonathan, what do you have?
I have one more, Bonnie. I'm sorry, members of the board, for all these questions. it just popped in my mind. So we're seeing our student population at the schools decline, probably over 400 kids in the last 10 years. So, but what I'm trying to figure out is where these kids going, homeschool, private school, whatever. Are you seeing an increase of usage during the day or any time?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And a lot of that, we're having 14, 15 for story hour. Those story hour kids have 3 and 4, in some cases, brothers and sisters, who are searching our libraries. I have one homeschooling mom who checks out $50 every time she comes in. It's being used for that. We are having to find nonfiction in a time where most people are running to the internet and typing in their nonfiction. Homeschoolers don't do that. Homeschoolers like to open a book and have their children actually search for it. So we're having 5 nonfiction books. I just spent, I don't know if anybody saw the picture on our Facebook page. This is not quite 3 feet. All right. I have a shelf, 3 feet wide. Okay? That's an average library shelf. I bought 61 children's books. It covered less than 2/3 of that shelf. And it cost me $1,400. $1,400. Pictures there, got the bill. Nothing's going down, guys, including books. Nothing's going down.
How does one person rent 50 books? Like, I remember going to the library years ago and you rent like 4 and that was the limit. How are we renting out 50 books? This something doesn't seem right here.
She not only gets them, she brings them back.
Okay, okay.
And they use them.
That's-
I don't, absolutely do not mind buying what people use.
Okay.
If they're going to make full use of the books,
Is-
then they do it.
Keeping up with the state formula, is 10,000 the number to keep up with what the state is doing? Because it seems to me that we've adjusted this number multiple times. It was 11, it was 13,000 a year.
I told you, it's a shooting, it's a shooting.
Oh, yeah, that's why the 5-year plan was shooting too. Since we're kicking in all this money, why would the Board of Supervisors not have an actual seat on the library board?
They do, don't you?
No, we're a liaison. We're a liaison, we do not have a seat. Why would we not do that?
My understanding is that's how it was set up.
I don't know, I think,
Honestly,
if-
it's my understanding. We are 88 years old.
okay,
Do I know how it started? Not quite.
okay. I do, I think we should have a seat on the board. If Madison County government is putting in the majority of the funding, I think that's just a very, very simple ask. I really do, I mean,
No, that's not up to me, sir.
very much, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Is there bylaws that the library has that speaks to your membership and their terms and all that?
I'm sorry, sir.
You have bylaws?
I should use the mic. Do you all have bylaws that speak to your number of members and their terms? It's,
We are an incorporated, we're a 501c3 company.
so what I'm hearing, I'm gonna look across the room here. I know I heard the chair say is consideration of board, a BOS member being a board member. How would that request come to you all? Via me or our board liaison? Make that request to the library board?
Board liaison certainly can at the next board meeting. Whether that's gonna involve, I don't know what it's going to involve. I'm going to be really honest. It's not something that has come up. Okay? I mean,
Norma-
it is not something that I decide.
No, normally it's a public notice and you've got to amend your bylaws to add a member. It's just part of the process. We just did it with Parks and Rec. It was pretty seamless, easy process, but not real challenging. But I think we are contributing, what it appears to me is pretty much all of the payroll, and that's just kind of what it is. I mean, I don't understand why we wouldn't have a seat if Madison County government isn't putting in such a large sum. Yes, ma'am. Very good.
I
Please.
just got a quick question. Patron visits, how much is that up or down from last year? On your second page, you have 12,364 patron visits.
It's a little bit down, but significantly more than we lost during COVID.
Okay.
The numbers are coming back.
Okay.
And case in point, more for the fact that people, are still using us for homeschooling.
Right.
And B, are still using us for, internet access.
Gotcha.
It's, broadband is wonderful, Firefly is wonderful, it's not hitting everybody yet.
Right.
For 10 years.
And second, and my memory might be faulty, but last year I think we were talking about something going on in the basement, or you're trying to come up with a,
We are considering it. It is going to cost 1.7, 1.5, Gary?
1.7.
$1 million to actually finish that out. That's a heck of a debt to take on. I'm not willing to do that. That's just me, my board, me wants the money first before we start.
have we decided what we're gonna do down there if we do have so many $1 million?
That I would like, but if it's up to me personally, and we're pretty much there. The children will be moved downstairs, so that we can have the entertainment, the summer reading programs, everything else that we need to have downstairs, and will be quiet and separate for now. I will also have at least 1, 2, 3
Telehealth.
pods.
Terminals.
So that this is their 3 pond. Walk into the pond, be absolutely secure in their privacy, have a teleconference with whoever they choose,
Right.
and then come out. That also allows us to have tutoring rooms, which is also another thing that is needed. Sorry, guys, it's getting spring. My allergies are just loving it. Anyway, between that, we'll have the elevator, the upstairs then gets transported into an adult conference room, a real one downstairs where people don't have to walk upstairs to try and get to. It's a lovely 1852 building, that's exactly what it is.
Got it.
And so, once we move the kids downstairs, then we'll be able to put in a conference room upstairs for the adult programming that won't disturb everybody.
Okay.
So,
I just wanted to know if there's an update. Thank you.
So Bonnie, I got to ask, I mean, this is a huge number. Last 9/90, you had 372,000 in revenue, and now you're budgeting for 319. That's $53,000 drop. Why, what would make that up?
Hopefully we have generous people in this county that will get out the checkbooks and send the money in.
That's a bunch of money.
It's a bunch of money.
it is a bunch of money, but we have individuals who,
And,
I have two
And the-
ladies who give me $1,000 each for the summer reading program. They believe in kids having a summer.
but you don't budget for that then, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. We can't budget for
What,
what we get. We estimate.
And it reminds me what Steve Grayson said years and years ago for the squad, that it's hard to budget your memorial fund, or who's gonna die that's coming in gonna leave you money. Kinda hard.
It is challenging.
Okay.
What's your endowment at right now, Bonnie? Or Gary, what's the endowment at?
Don't have that number on it. I would say about 600,000.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Now, remember that what an endowment is, please. It's not something we can just write checks off of. You cannot do that with an endowment fund. It is there to support us. We can use the
Earnings and
use the
interest.
interest if we want that little bit of interest. It's,
I was thinking the intent of some of that endowment was for the renovation of the basement. Is that right or wrong?
I'm not certain that it would take an act of the board to physically change what is in place at this point. The intent of the person that gave us the initial start of the foundation
Sure.
of the endowment was that it would make sure that the library had a continuing supply of funds that
Okay.
wasn't dependent on whims.
Okay. Okay. Other questions for Bonnie and Gary? Got anything down there, Cardi?
No.
All right. All right, thank you all very much.
Take a look, and anytime anybody gets an urge to walk over, it's 400 feet that way. Come see me.
All right. And comp is supposed to be next. Come on down, talk to us. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting us. I had sent in a PowerPoint.
How do you say your last name? I assume you're Cheryl?
Cheryl Renstrom.
Thank you very much, I apologize.
Without the I.
All right, thank you, Ms. Renstrom.
I have Lauren Willis-Thomas here. She is our Director of Finance. So I'll kind of give you the highlights. I figure you will have questions. And I would like to make sure I leave enough time to answer them. So, again, thank you very much for inviting us to come and speak to you. So, will you be? Look at you? Okay. All right, so, looking back on our strategic plan, we are in our third year of our plan. Our board, 3 of which the members are appointed by you, came up with a series of areas that we wanted to focus on. So the first one is ease of access. Sometimes it's been described as there are many doors, nobody knows how to get in to get services with Encompass, and so we wanted to work on creating an easier way of accessing services. We also were told through different stakeholder meetings that people didn't know who we are. They didn't know what we do. And then when they started getting to know us, they had no idea how many services we offer and provide. We wanted to increase our capacity to respond to the needs of the community. I was having a conversation not that long ago with an individual, and they said, well, aren't you a little over your skis as a CSB? And I said, well, yes, we were just strictly a CSB, but we're a CSB and an area agency on aging. So we're primarily a behavioral health network, but we're also an area agency on aging. So we provide aging services. But the reason that we've grown to be such an unusual organization is because the counties that we operate within over the years have said, we have a need, you can't get it met, you need you to fill it. And so that's kind of how we've grown into who we are today. Our fourth goal is to look at our services to make sure that they are modeling best practices and that there's a series of excellent strategies attached to all of them. We are also committed to demonstrating the value of fairness and opportunity across all our service areas and agency operations. We also want to be a leadership in system change. So we are network working and speaking with local governments, state government, federal government, if need be, to help educate people as to the rules that govern us and how some might need to change. And then, of course, to be good stewards with very limited resources and very valuable resources. And so those have been our 7 goals. We are actually working with our board here in the next few months to either update them or create a whole new strategic plan. Right now, as I'm sure if you've been watching the news, we're in a kind of a state of change, and we're not quite sure what that might look like. So the next page, some of our accomplishments last year, there was no one that was going to be standing up the winter shelter, and we felt we were convicted that somebody needed to step in, so we did. This particular season, we partnered with the Culpeper DSS department and a church to stand it up and run it. And so last year, we had about 62 guests. This year, as of yesterday, we have 74 guests. The majority of them are from Culpeper County, but the takeaway is, of those 74 guests, 57 are 50 and over. We are definitely seeing a trend where those that are experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity are getting older. In terms of community veterans events, we sponsored last year a resource fair at a local school. We helped support the Virginia Hub for Service Navigation, Help Vets Access Services. And then last month, they stood up their first board meeting. So there is now an area B, I can never quite say it, CVED is what they refer to it as. Some of our, as an agency, efforts to raise awareness for mental health and suicide, we held 2 events for stamping out suicide, and we hosted an event, Stand Up for Mental Health. It's a comedic show designed for people who actually are struggling with these issues to stand up and find a non-stigmatizing way of talking about it. Because sometimes people still do struggle talking about these matters. Now, in terms of services, so you can flip to the next page. These are just some of the services in behavioral health. The column there, the middle column, shows you the combined number for our 5-county catchment area. And I know you're going to want to know Madison. Madison is a smaller county for us, so those numbers are obviously smaller than the combined. And then we also have people outside our catchment area that come and seek services. So outpatient, we've had about 33. Medical services, that would be coming in, getting physically checked, basic PCP type services in order to start accessing services. We have about 22. Child psych is 2. The new building that you were gracious enough to sell to us just down the street, Thrift Road, that will be open this month for services. We put in it a PCIT room, and you're like, well, what is that, Cheryl? Parent-child interaction therapy. So it's one of the leading services that is being heralded as best practices. It's very structured. It's 2 rooms with a dividing wall with a window in it, so the clinician can observe the parent and the child interact. And when there's difficulties, there's literally an earbud where the clinician kind of talks the parent through how to interact. And it's a prolonged, sustained service. 2 years ago, we graduated our first family, and I was able to sit in on the graduation, and I heard the family, the mom and dad were there. They had separated at the start of therapy. Their family was being torn apart. And so I was watching the dad interact, who also had challenges with substance use. He had gone through our substance use program. And so to watch them many months later, he's in recovery, having a great relationship. You could see him playing with his son. And when we sat down to talk to both the mother and the father, they'd gotten back together. So anytime a family wins, our community wins. So there is a PCIT room there. There's also a telehealth room designed for people that may not be able to travel, don't want to travel, maybe their life doesn't allow them to have the extra luxury of a 30-minute ride up to, say, Culpeper. They can seek telehealth services in that space. but it gives you kind of some of the numbers. So of the 1,700 individuals that we have treated, 106 are residents and citizens of Madison. So then in terms of just intellectual developmental disabilities, we have, and for adults, we don't have the kids at this point, but we have the really younger, under Part C, we have about 9. Day have, so right now they're being transported to our day program up in Culpeper. There's about 7 individuals. The Thrift Road is designed to actually have a drop-in day space so that people from Madison can come closer to receive services. And then infant toddler 35, and then consumer monitoring. Right now on the wait list we have about 7. So of the approximately 1,500 individuals, we have about 82 that are from this particular county. Am I going too fast?
No.
You don't seem shy. If you had questions, I'm sure you'd shout them out. So in terms of outpatient, we have about 8 that have been using this service through Encompass for Madison. Medication-assisted treatment, we have about 4 individuals. The link, that's where you link a parent struggling with addiction to counseling. We have one individual using that. Intensive residential through our Boxwood treatment, we have about 3 individuals, and then peer supports. Have you heard of peer support services? Peers is really, we have a center in Culpeper. We now will be having a annex here in Madison through our building, Rick Road. Peers are people with lived experience, either through mental health challenges or addiction issues. And they are at a stable point in recovery, and they have gone through some significant training, and they are now going back and working with others. So first contact, a lot of times people make, is with a peer, because you're talking to somebody who gets where you've been and what you're going through. And so we are putting space with telecommunications in it so that we can do remote meetings, AA, any types of meetings at the Thrift Road location. So of about 220 or 266 folks, about 19 from Madison County. In terms of emergency services, crisis services, we have about 42 from Madison, and then child crisis, we have about 17. So again, of the 900 individuals using these services, about 5960 are from Madison. In terms of assessments, rapid access, getting quick contact, quick referrals, 20 are from Madison. Assessments getting into Boxwood, we have about 3. Assessments done in jail. A lot of times we work very closely with our local law enforcement. We have about 7 of those. Right now, we don't have anyone in mental health skill building. That's usually for people kind of having to relearn some basic life skills once you kind of move through recovery. You kind of have to rebuild some things. In terms of PCIT, parent-child interactive therapy, right now, according to that, shows no one from Madison, but that caseload is growing. We're getting more and more referrals. And then, of course, intellectual developmental disabilities, we've recently done one assessment. So again, not huge numbers, but numbers that were making a difference. So you've got about 31. And then in terms of housing, right now in terms of Section 8, housing choice, we have about 2 individuals. We don't have anyone from Madison in our Leafland Lane complex. That's a 24-unit location up in Culpeper. Permanent supported housing, PSH, we don't have anyone from Madison. State rental assistance, that's generally been for people with intellectual and developmental disability services. We don't have anyone identified from Madison. We don't have anyone identified from Madison in our group homes or in the orange apartments. We saw last year, I don't have today's current numbers for the one we sent, but we did have 2 guests from Madison in the shelter last year. We were able to get everybody who used the shelter last year housed. So we feel pretty good about that. And then in terms of our aging community, in terms of information and referrals, we have done over 200 contacts. senior centers, we do have a senior center just up the street. We have about 64 folks that are connected to that particular program. Meals on Wheels, we have 24 individuals that use that particular service. We are unfortunately seeing an increase in that, and that is disappointing to see, but we're glad we have that service available. In
I'm sorry,
terms
Rick,
of,
24 Meals on Wheels in Madison County?
yes, citizens.
Is that an everyday thing or once a week?
It depends on what the person wants. So we don't drive to their room every day. What we'll do is bring a box of shelf-stable foods. In terms of just transportation services, we have about 40 individuals from Madison County that use our vans. You probably have seen them, they're white with a pinwheel on them. There's also other regional transportation services where we have volunteers, and we have about 60 individuals from Madison County that we use those. Healthy Ideas, that's depression screening for older adults. We have assessed 5 individuals and connected them with ongoing services. And then in terms of just volunteer opportunities, we have 23 individuals that have said, hey, I'd like to do something. I don't need all the services, but I want to still help. I continue to be amazed at the number of people that are really, they're in their 80s, they're in their 90s, and they're still running strong, and actually they're a huge part of our regional volunteer transportation network. Then in terms of overdose response, so you can see the numbers. This is actually combined, it's not Madison in particular. People see these numbers and think we don't have a problem, and that is great. It's because we've been having more of an impact at the start. When local law enforcement comes upon somebody who's overdosed, they contact us, and we have a clinician circle back, talk to them, and try and get them connected to services. We've seen a tremendous impact with our C-Center, where TDOs, temporary detention orders, have dropped, emergency hospitalizations have dropped because people are more willingly coming to the C-Center because it's a low barrier. Low barrier meaning you don't have to give us all kinds of documentation, you don't have to tell us all your life secrets. You can just come in, sit down, get a cup of coffee, and talk to someone. And then in time, when you're ready to make a connection with a therapist, we can get you into the system. And so we've seen those numbers dropping, and it's because there are supports. And so this is where you can see the contacts. And in this case, the number on the right would be members of the Madison community that have come in. So our hope is once we get the Thrift Yard location up and running, and we offer some tele opportunities, virtual opportunities, those numbers will continue to expand. Is there another slide?
Sorry.
I'm not going to go through all of that one because I can't read it up there. I do have it here. These are just some of the prevention services that we provide. I would like to say these generally have been pass-through funds, federal government to state to CSBs. We are fully anticipating, I've already received word last week that those funds are diminishing, so we most likely will not be able to do as many as we are currently loaded there, but we are going to continue to do everything we can to find other ways of getting that money into the system to continue supporting these efforts. There should be 2 pages of prevention. You can skip the next one, and then for budget, so I'm going to invite Lauren so that you don't get tired of me to talk about our budget. But in general, we want to be sustainable. We want to be efficient. We want to use technology and infrastructure where we can. We are a 50-year-old organization, actually technically 52, and about 5-6 years ago, we really discovered that we were doing stuff the hard way, the slow way. We did a lot of paper processing, and so we have been methodically trying to put back into the system and get people the tools that they need in order to do their jobs more efficiently. We try to be very conservative in our budget projections. Right now, you can imagine we need a crystal ball to see what we might anticipate, but we're trying to be very low-key about it, really projecting no growth and actually anticipating some potential reductions. Again, nothing is done without the support of our community and our employees, We have worked hard to increase our health care. We were able to make a change 2 years ago, and so we were notified this week, actually, that we are not going to see an increase in health insurance premiums, which is wonderful. I just sat in a meeting yesterday where another organization, not terribly dissimilar to us, has a 10% increase. So we are very grateful we made that change. We were able to, because of the support of our counties, increase our salaries. We used to have a staggering vacancy rate, and our vacancy rate is significantly reduced. That's aiding to our ability to provide more services. And then, of course, we have been able to access some grant dollars for educational support. We call it Grow Your Own Clinician. There are not enough clinicians in the field, and so we started offering scholarships to people if they're from one of our 5 catchment areas, or one of our 5 counties, and if they're studying something that is directly tied to our mission. If they do, we guarantee them, if they maintain a certain percentage of educational score, a tuition frontage, if you will. And we even went so far as to say, if you do well in your school, you can come and do an internship with us, with the intent, and I think we are on the brink of actually having somebody graduate in another term, and they are already talking about they would like to be hired into ECSS, a clinician, which is literally what we designed the program to do, grow our own clinicians. So that's kind of our overview, and I'll let Lauren chat the numbers up.
All right, so our total budget in FY '25 was.
If you get to the mic a little closer, please.
Oh, right.
Thank you.
Is that better? Okay. So our total budget for FY '25 was a little over 46 million. There was a growth, an increase of 17% over the previous year. And you can see the other years listed there. It's sort of been growing a little bit, but the last 3 years have been staggering. And since FY '18, it's been an 82.97% growth rate. Some of the revenue highlights, we have state revenues of a little over 14 million. That was an increase of 12.6%. Local sources is a little over 6 million, and that was an increase of 22%. Fees is 14 million, an increase of 17% over the past year. And our federal sources are almost 3.5 million. That was an increase of 7% over the previous year. And other sources is 8 million, almost 8.7. That's 23% increase over the previous year. So if we look by sources, our state revenues are 30% of our budget. Our local is 13%. Our fees are 30%, federal 7.5%, and other is almost 20%. If we look at our expense highlights, personnel increased by about 19%. We went to a minimum wage for all positions within the agency was $18 an hour. $55 became the minimum salary for all exempt positions within the agency, and 16 full-time people were added for a total cost of $1.2 million, almost $1.3 million. Staff development increased by $293,000. Facilities increase of $2.9 million. Equipment, $3.9 million. Travel expense, $888,000. Consultant expense, $1.104. Administration and transfers, $7.836 million, and operating $1.2 million. So as you can see, our salary and benefits comprise 61% of our budget, and all the other ones make up the other 39%. Here we have a list of our funding requests for fiscal year 2026, and we went with a flat 5% increase across the board. Last year, our salaries increased. After we put together our funding requests for last year, our budget was put together, and we had such a huge increase, we did not want to pass that along to you, so we capped this increase at 5%. So
we're assuming you have questions.
So how is, I mean, I understand going from last year to this year, a simple 5%, but how is the different counties' contribution calculated?
Okay, so it was, before, it was a funding formula of 25% of local matching funds, I'm sorry, state matching funds, and then 10% on local matching funds, and then allocated out based on the percentage of population of each of the counties.
Which one?
Okay, you want to say that one more time, please?
Okay, so before, it was based on a funding formula that was 25% of state matching funds, of 25%.
To get the whole, all the counties put
To
together,
get
to
the
get
whole
your,
amount, yes,
get your pot of money that's
Correct.
needed. Okay,
Yes.
25% of state,
of state matching funds, and then 10% of local matching funds.
um, 10% of local matching funds.
I thought it was something based on population.
And, yeah, and then all of
And those
that,
allocated out based on the population.
Uh,
So the larger counties have a larger contribution.
Yes,
Sure.
yes, ma'am. I was thinking in, like, in a lot of these type of contractual obligations, there's a dollar figure per capita. It's not that anymore?
No, we capped it at 5% this year.
Okay.
It would have been higher.
But are you looking for like 10 cents per capita, 20 cents? I mean, I understand percentage, but I think to the chairman's point, we used to see a per capita, whether that's 30 cents, 40 cents.
I don't have that number here, unfortunately.
Okay.
We can certainly
get there.
send it out to you.
Divide it by 15,201 or whatever the number is now in there.
We're
and-
14,000 and
Yeah,
give or
there
take
you
100
go.
or two.
I'm off.
depends on who's presenting.
Weldon Cooper in that case, but.
You talk about reduction of programs potentially. What reductions are we talking about?
So a lot of our additional revenue comes through grants. And so one of the things I mentioned to you, through the Warming Center, we were able to get everybody housed. We have a grant two grants that we've been using. So I got word yesterday that our application for renewal was declined. We're not gonna renew it. So we are already seeing some shrinkage in grants. We are anticipating possibly some reduction in Medicaid. We just don't know. There could be initiatives through the state that they're, through DVHDS, that they're using. We haven't heard. Right now, there's a lot of discussion.
Sure.
But what I can tell you is we've already received official notification, 2 grants are not being renewed.
Okay. Who else has questions? Go, Jonathan.
I even told Brian I'm going to ask a question. All right, 2 things for me. So health insurance, to your right is last year's the 2.4 million, I believe, and then this year at 2.8. Now, I know there are different plans, so that could be why there's some increases. But I guess I would like to know what was last year's health insurance cost. I would assume it's all in 246. What's the difference there? You said initially you weren't sure if insurance was going to go up this year. You wait just like we do as localities. Based on historicals, is there going to be an increase? And you didn't have an increase this year, so what am I missing with that just under $400,000 difference from last year to this year?
And that is 24 and 25, not 25 and 26.
So what would be your 26 number then?
Our 26 number would be the same as
2841.
I didn't see that.
No, they don't have this year.
We're just in the starting point of our
Ooh.
We
26
just got the word
formulation.
from the local choice that it wasn't gonna go up.
Okay, I was just wondering, because your total source number looked like it matched the same in your pie chart. Even though it says FY '25, your total source revenue matched your pie chart. That's why I was thinking that maybe it's supposed to said FY '26.
When's your, when are you opening down here on Thrift?
This month.
Hey, go, good.
It's actually all set. We finished all the final pieces. We got the furniture in. It's been inspected. We're gonna do a shuttle use. We wait, we're king set, and then I will be reaching out to all of you to invite you to take a tour of the facility.
I definitely would like to, the media doesn't work for me, but at some point have them out. Well, one of the interests of having you all come back into the community, because I know there's disbursement, it was Madison, it was Orange, everybody, and that's why you're in Fauquier and Culpeper, and now you're coming back, thank you. But my mind immediately goes to mental health. So, you'll have those services where it doesn't go from, getting beds and being seen as the problem is why it takes it to acute. So the services you offer Madison folks who have those crises or those needs before it gets to acute. And you'll have your days and availability and all that. So if media chooses to come to print that, they could do so. Okay, perfect.
So as I mentioned earlier, we invested in the technology needed for a parent-child interactive therapy. Again, that's 2 rooms, window, the computer, the cameras. So families don't have to drive as far to get that particular therapy they're interested. There's also the telehealth room that if a person wants to come to the office, meet with their therapist, they can do that. And then the next room over would be really the C-Center Madison, where we could hold groups. We have the remote video capabilities in there. And then, of course, on the other wing of the building would be the day program for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So our intent is to have it used. It's not going to be full-time. It won't have staff in it, but we are going to start using it. And then our hope is, as we use it, it will come.
Your rapid response folks would come there? The folks that were previously using the arcade rental space would, okay. Thank you we're a part of your peer support program via a cooperative grant. Culpeper's the fiscal agent, but we are a part of that. If there are other services that qualify for opioid funding, we would want to our ears would be perked. So if you have anything, please raise it to our attention. We always look for local need of that fund. We don't want to lose dollars because of lack of the OA grant or direct settlement. But if you have other programs, please make us aware.
And if you have questions, we welcome you to reach out to us. Again, we're going to open, we're king set. I don't want to show you the kinks first. Let's keep that behind the scenes. But we will be inviting you in the next couple months to come see the space.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
How's the search to replace Mr. LaGraff?
It is ongoing. I have reason to believe that they have a favorite.
Good.
You may or may not be talking to the paper.
Good, very good.
So hopefully, a recommendation's been made to a full board. That particular vote goes next Tuesday.
Very good. Anybody else? Thank you. Have a nice day. All right. Ms. Gordon, come on up and talk to us about the fire company. We just wanted Miss Gordon. We don't know about you. We really, thank you. Good.
So I'm Lauren Gordon. I am the president of the fire company here in Madison. And we're respectfully requesting our same request from last year of $150,000. We've been in the process of and are continuing to go through the process of getting a new mini pumper to add to our fleet to help us access more remote areas of the county as we have seen a need.
Just want to say, everything we do as with everybody else, pretty much everything we do, the cost is going up. The only thing that hadn't changed is our labor rate. Thanks to ongoing fundraising, taking advantage of some grant opportunities, and most of all, the generosity of our community, we're able to hold the line. Anticipated expenditures are going to be up about 10%, but we feel that we can hold want to take a minute just to thank y'all too for finally giving us a public grade radio system that really works, and thank y'all for funding that and standing behind it.
All right, who has hard pressing questions for the fire company?
Like, no, go ahead. No, I was just gonna be a smart aleck.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot, and this shows how little I know, but I've heard a lot about new equipment requirements, personal protective equipment requirements for firefighters. Is that, you're anticipating a large expense with that over the next 5 years?
Yes, and it's not all new, it's some new, some existing, but, the fact of the matter is, basically everything we put on our back has a 10-year, lifespan, whether it's never used or whether it's used daily, it's, in 10 years, it's no longer, passes, NFPA standards. To completely outfit a person right now, not counting the air pack, just the pants, coat, boot, helmet, hood, looking at $5,000 to $6,000 per person. And as I say, it's you know, $500 a year per person, you know, if you appreciate it over the 10 years, so that adds up when we've got 40 people to equip. And, you know, we're looking at replacing a pumper that we're working on final specs. We've gotten some bids back that we were not satisfied with. They couldn't meet our specifications, and that was in excess of $1.2 million for one truck. It's an expensive business.
This is the biggest no-brainer we've got.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no play here, there's no question. Y'all are the best value in Madison County. There's nothing else to say. Thank you for what you do, and we appreciate it and hope you can keep doing it for a long time.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Rappahannock River Basin Commission. Mr. James, come on down and talk to us. Welcome.
Hey, Elder.
I have to follow the act that is the best value in the country.
That is correct. We're expecting big things from you.
Oh, they took off.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Chairman Jackson, Vice Chairman Yao, members of the board, I'm Eldon James. I serve as the contract staff for the Rappahannock River Basin Commission. In 1996, 29 General Assembly sessions ago, the General Assembly created the study commission. It worked for 2 years. All the members of the legislature who represent a portion of the basin. I believe your delegate was Butch Davies, and your senator was Ed Houck, if I'm remembering correctly. My things have changed. And then the legislature invited representatives of each of the counties and the city of Fredericksburg, so 16, because Greene County participated in that. Greene County has not participated in the ongoing commission, but everybody else does. In 1998, the commission came into being, and that was FY 1999. Each of the 15 jurisdictions were asked to put up $1,000. The General Assembly put up $15,000 per year, and it's been the same ever since. I don't know if anybody else that asked you for money can say that. 29 years.
But their salaries.
Yeah. Oh, oof. Ouch. Anyway, the commission serves as a forum for the local elected officials and the state elected officials to be talking about water resources from a natural resources standpoint and from an economic impact, because the river is important to all of us as an irreplaceable cultural natural resource that is important to everybody, whether it's the Rapidan or the main stem, but it's also an important economic driver for everybody from this end of the basin all the way to the other. Different reasons, and it has been the forum where a supervisor from Lancaster County can be talking with your supervisor and be explaining the differences in what the river means and what that economic difference, what that natural resource difference. Over the years, many pieces of legislation have grown out of it because of those discussions, and that's really a big part of what we do. The last big project that we worked on was writing the utility scale solar report, which provides best practices for localities and for the state. Matter of fact, we've used some of that to try to convince the legislature successfully not to take away local authority over approving solar projects. And I handed that document many times to different members of the Assembly as we had those discussions last year and then again this year. And I'm sure we'll be doing it again in the future. In this coming year, we're going to be looking at data centers. There's just no way around it. The members of the commission at the December meeting, end of last year, said we've got to have more information. We need to know about the impacts from energy demand to water usage, and they're important economic drivers. So it's both sides of that discussion, and that's where the commission comes in. It's supposed to be looking at both environmental and economic impacts. So the staff, a couple of members of the staff of JLARC who did that massive report that came out in December, they will be with us later this month to give a presentation. All of our meetings are streamed as well as obviously we've got to have a quorum in a room, and we always do that. We've only missed a quorum once in 29 years, and that was during COVID, go figure. And that was before we even figured out how to do Zoom meetings, et cetera, et cetera. But all the meetings, you can participate remotely as long as we've got that quorum in the room, and the public can as well, and they're recorded. So if you've got a valuable presentation, you can go to our website and you can go back and view it, and if we need to be of any help. I'm not going to trespass on any more of your time. I know my friends at the Regional Commission are here to follow up in the next time slot. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Anybody?
No, sir.
If I may just.
Please.
This is a different hat. Eldon wears many hats, just because he likes to do that. But you see the General Assembly updates, I see you regular. That's this gentleman here. So different front. He's here talking River Basin today, but all those great legislative updates and keeping you informed, pushing the legislative platform that Patrick will also talk about. He's your guy. So if you want familiar, you see the name Ellen James, that's the face behind that work. So
I mean, I don't know if you're the right person to ask, but in 29 years, how's our river basin, our rivers improved, not improved?
It's
How are we
improved.
looking?
Drastically.
And we've learned a lot. I mean, you go back then, and the talk of how to clean the Chesapeake Bay and all the tributaries up was very, very different than it is now. We've made, have we met the goals that were set for this year? Not completely, but we've made tremendous progress. Most of it's been on the wastewater side. But back then, it was, are we going to force the agricultural community to do their stuff, or are we going to incentivize them? Well, now there's no debate. It's an incentive-based program. That won the day. But that hadn't been figured out back in the 90s and in the early 2000s. Think about if that policy had gone the other direction. Think of the economic impact of that. The commission was involved in those discussions, and some of the key legislators who were on the money committees making decisions, and I'm talking about Senator Houck at the time, Taylor Murphy at the time, were on the commission. They were part of these discussions. Yeah. And so, yeah, are we there? We're never going to be there because the world is a changing, dynamic place. We just got to keep talking and working together and finding solutions.
You answer like the fellow that we wanted the legislator lobbying for us. Thank you. Anybody else got anything?
No, I just have one comment. I want to express my appreciation too, after being more involved at the state government level, for the work that you and your cohorts do, because so much of that always flies under the radar with regard to the public until something really changes that they don't like, and then they want to know what happened.
Yeah, and by then it's already done.
It's done.
And you're going, I'm going to see if I can do this off the top of my head. It's a piece of paper I keep with me all the time. And it comes from a letter between two former members of the House of Delegates. I understand our assembly has long been in session this year, correcting mistakes of the last and making more for correction in the future. And that was a letter from George Washington to James Madison. It says it all.
Thank you. Patrick, come on down and talk to us about Rappahannock Regional Commission.
Chairman Jackson, members of the board, Patrick Monty, Executive Director with the Rappahannock Rapidan Regional Commission. And before I get started, everything Eldon just said applies, and I think, you know, especially with regard to environmental planning and the voluntary nature of the work that we do to reduce some of those runoff and pollutants into the Chesapeake Bay. In this region, the reason it stays that way is not only because of the work that Eldon does down in the General Assembly, but you have the front planning work that often runs through our organization at the Regional Commission. And then on the back end, I know you heard from Greg Woodhelms earlier today, and that's where the Soil and Water Conservation District comes in. And I think a lot of times we get a question at a regional organization, well, what are you really doing? You know, why is your organization that covers these 5 counties, why do you have the Soil and Water Conservation District? You've got 4 of our counties and then Green added in. And the reason is because it takes a lot of different organizations, a lot of different knowledge bases to connect the dots on a lot of these things. So that's just my own soapbox from almost 20 years of working in the region. From the Regional Commission, the high point that I would love to start off with is that our request is flat from last year, no increase on either our per capita, 83 cent per capita request or our regional housing request that we've submitted for the last 10 years. A couple of highlights from the Regional Commission, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say Supervisor Dawson and County Administrator Weekly represent the county board and Madison County on our board. We were there last week, and Eldon did give us a rundown of the General Assembly session. A couple other highlights from the past year. We completed the region's first comprehensive economic development strategy. This was in work with the county, our counties and towns in our region, along with stakeholders, including Central Virginia Partnership and Germanna Community College, other partners. And really what that allows us to do is access some additional funding, either through federal government or additional state grants as well, to support some of those economic development strategies that really fit within our region. One thing that was a little bit different about our approach was we worked with our partner agency to the south, Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission, on this process. They developed their individual SEDS, we developed ours, and then we worked together to develop what we called super regional strategies, which span both regions as well as Go Virginia Region 9. And that was really an innovative approach that hasn't been done really anywhere else across the country, certainly not in Virginia, but gives us some additional opportunities to leverage both of their SEDS and our SEDS. We're in the process of wrapping up our 5-year mandated update to our hazard mitigation plan. That's one that seeks to mitigate disasters before they occur, but mitigate the impacts of those disasters on economic loss and on loss of human life. Through that process, we've developed some additional opportunities. We're currently actually discussing something with Rappahannock Electric Cooperative here, potentially that could have some benefit to some of the older wooden utility power lines in Madison or power poles in Madison that would hopefully reduce future wildfire risk, knowing that that's something that was a huge impact over the last year. And then the third piece that I want to mention from the past year was we're the lead agency for what we call the Regional Transportation Collaborative, and that is really a group of organizations, including, you heard from Cheryl Reinstrom with Encompass Community Sports, and they're a key partner in that. But that is really to build up the volunteer driver programs in the region and really fill the gaps in a rural region where we don't have transportation, but where people need it to get to medical appointments. And I see Virginia Regional Transit here, and they're also a key partner in all of those efforts. The real key for this is over the past year, we've really made an effort to expand that program here in Madison. And the report I got today from our staff on that was we went from, I think, 30% of the requests were fulfilled previously, and over the past year, largely because of 1 or 2 individual drivers, but because of their commitment, up to 70% of the requests that come through the Mobility Center in Madison were able to be fulfilled, which is really good, and we're really pleased with that. Moving forward into the next year, into FY26, just 2 other things. In addition to hopefully submitting that application with Rappahannock Electric Cooperative, we are going to be taking on the lead for regional water supply planning which is again another state mandated plan. The first ones were mandated just after the drought in 2002. What they've done in the past 3 to 4 years is revise what some of those regulations are, but have also said you have to do this at a regional level, and the state in the state code has identified what those regions are. Luckily or unluckily for us, it's the same 5 counties that we serve, so I've had people look to us to say, you're going to take the lead on this, right? And I said, well, we'll do our best. The grant money that's available, at least initially, is limited, but we're going to get that process started, and that will be something that runs through the next several years that we're going to be working on. And the last one, and this sort of goes to what Mr. James just talked about, we do have some funding from Department of Environmental Quality, and we're going to be working over the next year with not just the Soil and Water Conservation District, but also Friends of the Rappahannock, specifically targeting Madison and Orange, and working with your county staff to identify where there might be opportunities on some of the county-owned property or the public property to do small-scale best management practice installation, and that could include, tree plantings, rain gardens, things like that we've seen success with at schools and on other municipal-owned property. Again, not the mandated requirements, but things that do make a difference as part of that overall program. I'm happy to answer questions on any of those or anything else that was in the packet for you all.
Who has questions? You got comments?
If you want one, Michelle's Heat Island report, you'd be happy to know, or maybe don't care, out of the 5 counties where they took data, Waverly Owl School was the hottest place in the 5-county region.
Well, so I appreciate Mr. Weasley
was
bringing
the
that up.
what
That was a
report?
report we did with
The
some
Heat Island.
volunteers, largely with Friends of the Rappahannock, that took temperature readings throughout the region, and then we did some modeling to kind of show where some opportunities for some BMPs, but largely about tree plantings. And yeah, surprisingly, the hottest locations were, as Mr. Weakley mentioned, at Waverly Yowl on some of the pavement there, but also at Yowl Meadow Park in the town of Culpeper, where you think you've got a great playground that people want to be, but because of lack of tree cover and also the hot I think they've got some rubber mulch there, really made the temperature hotter than most other places in the region.
Just a fun fact.
I was gonna be real positive about things. Now I'm hearing about this report in the heat. I mean, that's something to be concerned about. Good Lord. I don't know. I think we get a lot of value out of Patrick's group, and he provides expertise, and I mean, it's just a win-win for Madison in every way. Anybody else got anything? Patrick, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go to Virginia Regional Transit. Mr. Thomas, please.
Thank you for having me again. My name is Mike Soha. That right there is Phil Thompson, who's our Director of Operations. Chairman Jackson. I also brought Teresa Carpenter this year. Teresa is a Madison resident here. She's also our lead supervisor for many of the programs here. And the Cracker Jack having to do with public transportation. She's done an outstanding job. I'm excited we're back again. Again, we're requesting is also a flat line from last year. But I'm also excited a little bit to share some stories with you with regard to the Foothills Express. Primarily, I think last year I was discussing the fact of the use of the service for the wellness. Well, that really has taken off. So the people that are particularly riding this Foothills Express are going to UVA, and actually they're going to Culpeper Hospital as well. So it's the primary use of that particular program. Jobs would happen to be the second one. Both searching for jobs, looking for jobs here, looking for jobs in Charlottesville. So that's the number 2 reason. Education, believe it or not, both in the local area in the Culpeper and Germander College, as well as UVA that has the opportunities for education and performance there. A couple other interesting stories that inquiries have come out. Service to the Charlottesville Airport, believe it or not, is beginning to become a regular phone call for us, as well as the congenial, Michael, can you add Monday and Friday, as opposed to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday? And something I talked to Phil about, because guess what? When you're receiving treatment at UVA, they also take appointments on Monday and Friday. So we're going to have to keep on digging and find out where those partnerships are and see if we can't secure some additional funding to maybe bridge that gap. We also add inquiries about the Piedmont Technical Center that is out there on the highway, and people are inquiring about, will you serve that? How can we make connectivity with it?
In Culpeper, and I hate bringing it up, but in Culpeper, they're building that new parking facility behind the Amtrak. Well, that ends up being our major hub, and will end up being our major hub. And at that hub, a lot of things are gonna happen. All the trolleys will come there, all the express will come there, Orange to Culpeper will come there, and guess what? The foothills will come there as well. So it'll end up being a destination for people to get off, to make that connectivity, and also come this way into Madison, which I'm really excited about. I also want to give a plug for our driver. The program's been running since 2018, and you've got a driver out there, his name is Mr. William Shanks, and he's not here because he's driving. But Mr. Shanks has led that program individually by himself, accident-free, incident-free, safety-first violation, none. As a matter of fact, we have promoted him to an ELDT training instructor through our CDL program. His success rate is 100%. Anybody who goes through him, 100% coming out of DMV with a CDL. He's also our Employee of the Year in 2022. So William has invested heavily into the Foothills Express. Now, I want to end with this, and I also entertain some questions, but I wrote a piece for the UVA Community Health, who is now a new partner to the Foothills Express, and we're real excited about it. But they asked Phil and I to prepare a document for that. So I went out and I talked to some of our passengers that are riding the Foothills Express. And we've got an individual, Megan, who's got some special needs, and she's using the Foothills service. Originates out of Madison. This is what they wrote. Her mother: what a tremendous impact this Foothills bus has had in our lives. Having retired and moved to Madison, my major concern was how my special needs daughter would continue to attend a job in Charlottesville. For the past 6 years, we've enjoyed the special treatment given her by representatives of VRT, especially the drivers who treat her like their own, going the extra mile to make each day special for her. As a mom and a caregiver, I feel comfortable knowing she is safe in the travels to Java. This is a much-needed service to our community. I went even further. So I went to somebody named Culpeper who's using this service. And this is what he said. I've used the service for 4 years for medical appointments in Charlottesville through UVA Medical. The Foothills Express is a blessing, which has enabled me to maintain my medical visits, including being outfitted and trained for my new prosthesis. I hope to see the service expanded to Monday and Friday due to the difficulty coordinating my medical trips with only midday week availability. We're here, we're ready to serve. You point me in the direction of a new partner or where we can continue to build on this, I'm there. I'm willing to entertain any questions that you might have about the service. Excited about it. I think we did a really good job this year. I think you should be very proud about it, and certainly your driver and the people that are using the service. And we thank you for your continued support, Mr. Chairman.
Questions? Anybody? Thank you all very, very much.
Yes, sir.
Good service. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for being in our expo.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate that.
Good day. All right, next. Safe. Angie, no, I'm terrible. Pronounce your last name, please. Aberjon, thank you. I apologize. Come on up.
My name is Angie Aberjon. I'm the Executive Director for SAFE in Culpeper. So we normally request $1,000. This year we did ask for $1,500. We have seen in the past year about a 20% increase in people that we had served in Madison County. And over the last year, I created a new position also, which is our Youth Engagement Coordinator, who is a Madison native. And so we're really been trying this past year to really break into Madison County schools. Like, her position is to teach the youth about healthy versus unhealthy relationships. So we're hoping to get in there this year. And also, I'll tell you guys, mark your calendars. Our annual Spring Into Awareness event is in April. It's to help highlight Child Abuse Awareness Prevention Month. Normally, this is our 11th year COVID took a few years from us. And we've always had it in Culpeper. And so this year, we're actually branching out and we are coming to Madison County. So it's gonna be April 12th, from 2 to 4, at Hoover Ridge Park. So we're super, super excited to be able to do more community activities in Madison County.
All right. Anything else?
Do
Question?
you guys have any questions?
Questions? Anybody?
We're trying, we're expanding. I've been in this position about a year and a half now, and so we've made a lot of good, positive changes. Many organizations like ours in the state, they have a very strict, like 6-week stay within their shelter program. I just turned 41. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't think I could get my life together in 6 weeks. So we have really expanded our shelter program to where as long as you're meeting your goals and doing, like working the program, I mean, we've had people stay 8 months. We've had people stay almost a year. Because for me, I would rather take that time to really have someone find that safety net and a place to stay and leave independent with a savings account so they're not repeating that cycle. So that's one unique thing that we started doing this year too, is really valuing having people stay longer to make sure that, you know, they're breaking that cycle and not continuing to fall back into it.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I got a question, because I'm looking at our list of, you know, a lot of outside agency or nonprofits and so forth here today. One that struck my mind when you were talking more about children, I know you do a lot of adult services as well with SAFE. You have any crossover or working programs with Foothills Child Advocacy? I know that's generally a legal front and all, but do you work with them? Is there any crossover
So
there?
there are some crossovers with different organizations and different agencies. We pride ourselves in really getting to know the community resources, because if we can't do it or we can't provide that service, we're gonna find you somebody that can. Because we don't want anyone not to get the things that they need. So yes, we do work with that program. We work with Mom to Mom a lot. Anywhere that will really have us, we will be there, to take up the space, because, you know, no service is not important, like, yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
That was a good comment. Anybody else? Thank you very much, Ms. Applejohn.
All right, thank you guys, have a good night.
You too. Ms. Morgan, come down and talk to us about the Virginia Career Works.
It's not a PowerPoint, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, good, good. We need to keep passing on the word. Hey, there you go.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. Thanks for having VCW Piedmont back. I just wanted to capture a couple of highlights this year. VCW Piedmont is your regional workforce board. So we provide workforce development services to youth, adult, dislocated workers. But this year we provided about 81 career seekers for Madison, totaling over $38,500 of tuition reimbursement for up to 7 of those. We also supported Mesa by providing them over $6,000 worth of protein to help families in need. So serving over 1,996 families this year. We also wrote a grant with Centera to bridging the food resiliency gap for folks that need to support their families. And so we have an award to Madison for $800 to give out 32 $25 gift cards to your families to shop at your local farmers market to promote the Buy Fresh, Buy Local for small businesses. So we're really trying to encourage individuals to shop at local businesses. And so we can sustain them given what's happening in society today. We also are providing workforce services at your library. So if folks, I've just listened to the young man about workforce, we can bring services here, and we have been bringing services here to the library. So people who cannot get to Culpeper, if they can't get to Orange or Charlottesville, we're providing those services here at your library as well. So we want to continue to spread the word. We collaborate with Tracy Gardner and team, and also helping with the aversion of layoffs here in your area. So this year, we're asking for 2805, but we know you've been giving us less than that, but we appreciate what you can grant us because this work is meaningful. And we're also helping to place those individuals who's being impacted by the federal layoffs. So if you have any of those individuals that's living in your communities, please direct them to our offices so that we can help find and place them in appropriate workforce settings. And I'll take any questions from you guys. And we appreciate having Dr. Jewett on the board.
You do a lot of really good stuff. I mean, the recent and only meeting I've been to, I have to admit, it was very impressive, the programs that you have. And how you're also trying to move more CTE programs, make them more available.
Yes, so we will be, actually, we are recognizing Madison County CTE at the next board meeting. So they're coming to do presentations. I serve on your CTE council here, and they are doing phenomenal work. I must say, I was at the meeting the other night, and while they are small, they're mighty, and they're doing phenomenal work. Specifically, Mr. Barry doing the small engine repair program that he's servicing folks to let them come in and running a business, as well as the horticultural program. And your middle school STEM program is absolutely amazing. So we're going to be showcasing 2 of those at the next Regional Workforce Board meeting. So thank you for that. We do try.
I have one other follow-up question, because one of the things that we, and I know you do this everywhere, but we've just done a business survey at the county, and of course, workforce is a huge one.
It is.
So what kind of relationships or initiated contacts or partnerships that you get from businesses that say, you know, this is a problem, what can we do to help you? I mean, or what can you know, what services can you help us with? What's the dynamic or status of that right now?
So right now, we do have strong relationships with the businesses. We have developed toolkits for businesses to use with recruitment and retention strategies. We have an employer toolkit. We also encourage employers to do tours for high school and middle school so we can introduce the workforce to the younger population early. But we have strong relationships with the businesses so that we can align them with talent, but also helping folks to find and think about how do you use those transient skills where you may have been laid off in, say, hospitality? How do we use those transient skills in another industry such as manufacturing or technology?
Anybody else? Please.
Sorry. I do have a question, Sarah. I appreciate you being here. And on the CTE, I had to miss the last meeting, but we definitely love your involvement. So the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, is that mainly for adults who are maybe needing to be retrained or doing different things, or is this also for our student population?
So you have adult, youth, and dislocated worker that comes through the Workforce Innovation Opportunities Act. So it's 3 different tracks. We serve youth 14 to 24, and then we serve adults who need to be upskilled or reskilled. And the dislocated worker are those who've been misplaced, or if they're stay-at-home moms and trying to enter back into the workforce, but also adults who are career switchers that want to change career pathways. We serve those individuals as well.
What, so $38,500 per year in tuition, that's pretty impressive. What is that based on? Is that based on income as well? Or
It's based off of eligibility, so if they're reentry, if they're justice individuals, if they have low literacy numeracy rates, if they have been formerly incarcerated, if they are single parents. So it's a culmination. It's a federal guideline you got to follow. But, you know, normally it's about $5,000 to $7,000 per individual who signs up. Our CDL training is really big right now, and it's very costly. Even some of our IT and nursing programs are very costly, even in culinary. So, but we've provided over $38,000 of the $800,000 that we get from federal dollars to Madison residents for them to be reskilled or upskilled.
That's fantastic. Thank you for explaining that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morton. All right. Ms. Lacy, come down and tell us about the Learning Center, please.
For the boards, I'm on that board, so I won't be participating in this discussion.
All right, I'll take your name off the greeting then here, okay? So Chairman Jackson and the rest of you and Cardi can just sit there and look at me. So. Thank you for your time this evening and for considering the Madison Learning Center Incorporated as one of our county's nonprofits to be included in the upcoming county budget. And I don't have my crew here. I think part of it is some of the staff, it's that time of year when bugs come through. So I appreciate our director, Cindy Dukowski, being here. Madison Learning Center provides a service to families in our community, offering early childhood education, as well as before and after school care and a summer program for school-aged children. The center's open from 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and serves breakfast, lunch, and an afternoon snack. Currently, we have 54 children enrolled and 48 children on the waiting list. We currently have 10 full-time employees and 4 part-time employees. There's 5 classrooms for the children from infancy to age 5 and 2 classrooms for the pre-K age program and the school-age children that come over before and after school from the Madison Public School. Hiring qualified staff is the main issue for not increasing enrollment, and I should have talked to the previous person as she was out, because it sounds like she might be able to help us. So currently, one of the reasons we are not able to fill the building is the hiring issue. And the building has space for about 90 to 95 children. Our license says over 100, but would be total nuts, so we don't anticipate that. But we do could almost double our enrollment if we had the staff to do it. 35% of our children receive some form of subsidy for tuition. This is everything from subsidy for foster children, some of it comes through DSS, some of it comes from some other avenues. But about a third of our families or our children do receive some kind of subsidy for tuition. The center participates in a program called CACFP, Child Adult Care Food Program, run through the USDA. And this program reimburses the center for some of the costs for our breakfast, lunch, and afternoon snack. But the percentage we get for each child is based on income, much akin to the free, reduced, and paid that's done for the school lunch. But it's a reimbursement, so it's a lot of paperwork for us. But that is really the only other outside funding we get. And we are licensed now we're licensed by the Department of Education. We used to be licensed by Department of Social Services. So we're inspected by the Department of Education. We're also inspected by the Virginia Department of Health. We have a licensed kitchen. We actually have a restaurant license. And we're also inspected by the State Fire Marshal. Madison Learning Center has been in operation for over 10 years, and we've been under our own nonprofit status since December of 2019. As board chair of the Madison Learning Center, I do not work there. I am not employed. I get no financial benefit from this. But as the board chair of the Learning Center, I am grateful for the funds that were included in the county budget last year, and I certainly hope there's a place for us in this next budget. Thank you very much for your time.
Questions? Please. Yes, sir.
Ms. Lacy, I'm just for my own information, because I'm not aware of your fee schedule, but just hypothetically, if I had a 3-year-old child that I wanted to enroll in your center for, 5 days a week for the work week, working regular work week hours, what would the fees be for that?
For a 3- and 4-year-old child, be $235 a week.
$235. When was the last time we had to raise your rates on that, or?
November of '23.
Okay.
So that's something that's kind of staring at us now that we may have to do again.
So you said $235?
$235 a week. An infant is $280 a week. Our summer program for our school-age children is $235 a week. And that's for the pre-K. The school age is $125 a week and $175 for summer care.
Okay.
I think that may have been included in that packet. I don't honestly remember. It's not cheap. It is one of the hot topics of childcare is so expensive. Well, yes, it is. We have ratios to follow. We have a building that was put up in 1997. Cindy's doing an extensive research on some of the items we need. We need cabinets replaced. We've down to 3 or 4 original HVAC units that have to be replaced. The roof needs to be looked at. The floor has cracked. So we are looking at we're looking ahead to knowing we're going to have to take care of the building. When we became our own nonprofit, the building was deeded to us by the Culpeper Wellness Foundation, which is wonderful. We own, we have the building, but the disadvantage is it's our building. We don't have somebody else who's taking care of it. And we're probably going to have to do some extensive groundwork on our playground because it was built on fill dirt. When I went in '96 to get in front of the town council to get permission to build this building, because it's in town, it had been originally planned closer to the street where it was all flat, but the ruling of the town is I had to have so many parking spaces for the occupancy permit. I did express to the town that most of our occupants don't drive, but that didn't hold any. So they had to move the building back, so the playground is moved back, and it's starting to head down the.
In your experience with your clientele over the years, and referring back to the fact that childcare is so expensive, no matter where and what or whatever, but have you encountered many folks who have just simply stopped working, that one parent just stopped working because it was cheaper to stay at home with the children than it was to pay the child care expenses, especially if you have like 2 or 3 children?
I don't know if I could honestly answer that statistic because it's not something that we would follow at the center. But I do know that that does happen in families. And the hardship there, quite honestly, from a female point of view, is you drop out for 10 years, you lose Social Security, you lose retirement benefits, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a cost way beyond just that 10 years for for any parent.
Well, thank you.
Ms. Lacy, thanks for being here. Question for you on the 990. I have it up on the screen from 2023. It looks like you had a significant loss of contributions and grants between the prior and current year. Was that tied to specific federal monies, grant monies on the federal side, COVID monies?
Yes, COVID money.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what
We did, I can't pull those off the top of my head. We have an outstanding treasurer, but I don't think he can pull it up right this minute either. But we did receive a fair amount of funds during COVID.
So this is the typical grants are more in line with the 67,000 a year ongoing instead of,
Or less.
or less? Okay, thank you.
To be honest, it is sometimes a hard sell because we ask our clientele to pay for the services.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Ms. Lacy, it's been a year, but when I first joined the board, you did a tour for me. It's an impressive place. I know
Thank
there's a
you.
lot of repairs that need to be done, but you can see the service you provide to children of the people in the county and the love that the staff has to do this job. Every budget year, it's a tough budget year. But what I'd like to, we were on the Economic Development Committee, and one of the things that was needed if we're gonna attract businesses to our county is childcare. And when you told me the numbers per week, to me, that didn't sound that expensive, right? And for what I can see, what you guys do, if a family was gonna move in here or a business was gonna move in here, to bring them through your facility would be a plus and would help attract those businesses to the county.
Well,
So
thank you. That's,
it's important.
yes, I'm a little prejudiced. It's very important, not only for the early childhood component, but it's very important to the community. We've had many new teachers, and one of the things they have said is that there is childcare here, and we've had teachers that have come to Madison from the outline, even from Charlottesville, have enrolled their children with us so that they can be near their children while they're at work. One of my stories of the years I've been doing this is when we were over at the old elementary school, there was a new minister and his wife coming to town to try to find out if this is what he wanted to do, which parish he wanted to take. And I toured them at the old elementary school, and that was a trip, doing childcare in that building. That was including getting the snakes out, and that's a whole nother story. But when I watched him and his family, darling young family, 2 beautiful little children, I thought, this community needs that family. And one of the things that's going to bring that family to this community is they liked what we were doing, even though it was in the old elementary school, snakes and all. That couple is still in this community, been on many boards, been a great contribution to this community. So that's one of the aspects that I like to tout, is why we are so important. So thank you for bringing it up.
Other questions? I do want to ask, what are you doing to attract more educators?
Besides begging, I think I would have to say, since I kind of have the joy of watching this from outside, it's a wonderful place to work, and I will brag, that's one of the main reasons it's a wonderful place to work. She runs a very outstanding center, and you don't get into this for the money. If you do, you're absolutely crazy. But we've got a young new teacher with us who has come in loving it, and you can see the joy she brings. One of the issues we're having, not just with hiring, is, in my opinion, and due to the pandemic, we are now seeing children who spent 2 years at home in front of a screen. And so we're having a little bit more issues with children who need a little bit more attention, et cetera. She's jumped in both feet and is absolutely loving it. And I know she did not do this for the money, but because she loves to be there. So I think that's not an easy attraction for everybody. We do try real hard to be a family-friendly environment. In fact, included, if I'm right, in our sick leave is it's not just you as the employee, it's your children too. So we try real hard that that's part of what the appeal is. But the pool just is not
Yes, ma'am.
as big.
And if it would help at all, we could get you in touch with Miss Morgan.
Yes, I would,
mean,
my
we'll
ears
pass
definitely
along.
perked up. That might be, I have done a couple of career days at the high school.
Yeah. Maybe that would do something. Anybody else?
What, the playground, what type of work is needed there? I'm thinking of Madison
Yeah,
Day.
sure.
Woodbury Forest sends like an army out every year.
We have, one of my joys was driving through town either last year or the previous year on Madison Day, coming across at Fishback, and here were all these orange T-shirts all over town were these young Woodbury Forest kids. And I was just elated, pulled into the center, and they redid the mulch and the bushes and the stuff out front. What we need on the playground is some excavating. We have to replace the fence, the pea gravels. I have to tell you all, we sit on top of the hill, and if you've been around the corner, we own all the way down to Thrift Road. Well, it's straight down, because there's 7 acres there that go with the Learning Center. Woodbury Forest will be back. But they don't have the ability to, they have moved gravel for us, which was interesting watching 15 young men try to move gravel with a shovel, but they don't have, what we need is excavators to come in. The fence needs to be pulled out. We have to raise the fence. There's a lot of major work we have to do on the playground.
Thank you.
All right. Any
All
other
right.
questions?
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate your interest.
All right. That wraps up the list. Jonathan, you want to hit juvenile detention and combined courts real quick?
Absolutely.
Let's do that.
Ms. Warren will bring that up on the screen. Where you want to start, Ms. Warren? The juvenile detention? All right. This is the approved budget from the Juvenile Detention Center. Let's go to the bottom. I believe we had a slight increase. Yes, and I know there are two different type of correctional facilities, but they too, based on population bed days, just like CBRJ.
What was it? Keep going. What was the last year?
Do you have last year's, Jennifer? Is that on the spreadsheet? Yeah, okay. So
Yeah,
last
excuse
year,
me.
I think there's an important note I'm gonna give you though. So last year, approved request was 247,550. Was that after the true up though that came back? No, that was before, okay. So it's up 60,000, so it's 308,360. I will say it's fair to note, I don't wanna jinx us, but we have realized true ups, I know at least once favorable last year.
So this year, we received a true-up of $98,000 that we were able to deduct from the $247,000. So that was a big deal for this year, this fiscal year. So I would expect that we would receive a similar sizable true-up based on our usage.
But we definitely, we spoke even as late as today about this particular budget. We would recommend, don't bank on the true up, just budget at the 308, because I think 2 or 3 years ago, we had a true up of 115,000 because the days, the usage was over projection. So right now, we're ahead of actual versus build, which is great. I'm trying to remember, because I sit on this board, there are some salary increases in this and insurance. What they run into to be competitive, if you've never been at this facility, you go up to Stafford and I don't know if it's Wyke or something like that road to the right. It's back in an industrial park area. Juvenile detention center's here, and like within stone throwing distance is the jail. So you're always trying to compete with employers, specifically the jail. And you're in that Northern Virginia kind of competitive region. So we are in that, we are a member of the Juvenile Detention Center at that location. I did check with I don't know if it was the sheriff or somebody asked me a couple of years ago about why not Charlottesville. That's a board decision. What I did learn is part of the requirements for the juvenile detention we are in. If you would leave, there's monies like kind of a buyout here, and then there's a buy-in if you're trying to become a member of Charlottesville, similar to CBRJ. If Culpeper or Page somebody, there's a buy-in period. I think they have good service. It's a tough job. You cannot. There's certain training and ways you handle a juvenile that maybe losing their mind. You cannot handle in a way like you would, say, an adult population of CBRJ. They have had older correctional workers there that's gotten hurt pretty bad, and either health would not allow them to return or they've chosen not to return. And what you're seeing too is some of the state kind of cases, they're being held there longer than going to a state facility. If you follow a lot of the General Assembly language, Rappahannock Juvenile Detention Center is not one of the proposed consolidated locations, but they are consolidating several, probably a handful of these centers across the state. We don't anticipate that at this time, at least the state or no one said, hey, we're gonna start sending them this way. They generally run near capacity anyway at this facility, so I don't know how that consolidation would affect them. But there are several juvenile detention centers in the state of Virginia that will be closed and consolidated with other localities. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, on this.
Anybody got anything on this one? Let's do combined court.
All right, combined court. You want to take that one, Jennifer?
Sure. This one's very easy. After speaking with the combined court, they do not have any need for increases across any of their categories for expenses. The FY25 budget was appropriated at $8,921. Year-to-date, through period 7, they've spent $4,221. So they are tracking on target. So they are requesting the same $8,921 for across the categories that you see on the screen there, and that includes anywhere from data processing services down to their office equipment. I'll let you take a look at I can make it a little bigger if that helps.
Anybody?
What does the combined court mean? Who makes up Madison Combined Court?
If memory serves me correct, and I wish I had Ms. Lauk here, I believe this is our percentage. I want to say the shared staff between Orange and Madison. So I don't know if that's a function of JDR. I believe so. But we have an agreement with Orange County. I think it's a 60-40 split on the overall cost.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right. Well, Jonathan managed to fill up everything but 5 minutes of this meeting.
Yeah.
Normally, I'd say we'd go through the list of outside agencies and see what we want to do. I kind of recommend that we go through another meeting, knock out the whole list, and then we can just roll on through. I hope everybody's taking notes on it and know what you want to do. That's about it. Anybody else got anything?
I did want to make a really quick note. There is a second version of the spreadsheet in the folder. And I'll update the version. I'll name them version 1, 2, and 3. If anything changes from an outside agency request or anything like that, I'll update it. But right now, if you do want to pull version 2 as your latest.
Thank you. Jonathan, you got anything?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anybody else? Public comment. Public comment. Anybody watching us? 0 people. We're back down to our average. All right. No closed session. What do y'all want to do?
Sec.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank y'all. No, no.
I'm sorry for talking.
We just gonna stick here. We just gonna sit here for a minute.
Someone I couldn't
Help, yes, sir.
Oh, we
I had to ask about health insurance. I emailed Alan while I was sitting here.